All right, let's start it, Dana. It's Superfly, as we all know. Everyone's excited about. Obviously, all the
Riveted,
time.
setting their clocks. It's a unique.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's a unique Superfly. I'm just going to say that up front. It's not a tease. We're going to do something a little different, David.
Yes. Oh, David. Well, we, back during the pandemic, we were all glued to the Tiger King. I was also, and Joe Exotic, who had a lot of funny catchphrases and funny things going on. A very interesting situation down there. And the zoo is a loose word.
I guess it was a zoo. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it was a zoo. Yeah, and all his cast of characters. It was like a movie, and they were always saying you should do a movie about that, and it's almost so exaggerated. It's hard to make a movie, right?
But who was floated? Who was floated that we know?
Oh yeah,
to play Joe Exotic in the Tiger King movie.
Oh, that's right, Spadely. Yeah, and that's not I mean, I don't know what it was.
Well, maybe it's because of Joe Dirt.
Maybe because of Joe Dirt. I kind of look like this guy, and but he was very funny, very so I go by the funny part, and we never talked about, but I never really pursued it because it was one of those lightning in a bottle shows, and then time goes on, and by the time something would come out, it probably wouldn't have been as exciting. But now he's in prison, and go ahead, Dana.
For apparently hiring someone to murder his nemesis, Carol Baskin, who was sort of an animal rights activist in the area and wanted to shut down Joe's zoo because she thought he was cruel to the tigers.
And he thought she was cruel also, and also killed her husband, he says. Allegedly, right?
Right. So it was redneck heaven. It was in Oklahoma, and everyone's got a body buried. Everyone's got a bottle of booze in their back pocket, and there's wild tigers running around. It was mesmerizing. Sure.
And you don't want to look too closely at anything. Like you go into anyone's yard and you start digging, you're going to find something. So on the surface, it seemed like a fun, goofy show to talk about. And then when you dig a little deeper, it gets a little
twisted. Yeah. I read that he shot 5 tigers, and I don't like shooting tigers.
Sure. I think we can all say we're safely against that.
Yeah.
And so we've got him. He's in jail, and he's going to call in. It's like a radio show. We got a caller.
We got a call. And, we will not be able to see Joe, but we're going to hear his voice.
I bet we put up a picture of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do, right?
Imagine him talking. Hopefully we'll ask the questions you want us to ask.
We probably won't, but we're going to hopefully.
Yeah. I did 7 seconds of research, so I'm locked and loaded.
No, I know. We all know about him.
We all know the basics.
The more I read,
Yeah,
we know this. But we're sort of playing for the big strokes of what people know. And speaking of big strokes, I had a big night last night.
What do you
porn.
mean?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
it just sounded like a good setup.
Well, if we have a few moments, it was interesting that the astronauts got rescued on SpaceX.
Yeah.
After Boeing Starliner had some issues and couldn't bring them back. They were going to be there for 8 days, and they were there for 10 months. And there are side effects.
Oh yeah. I have a question about this, Dana. I'm glad you brought it up. And I know everyone's supposed to hate Elon Musk, but he did do a good thing yesterday. I guess.
Well, what's this Elon Musk stuff? I mean, come on, calm down a little bit. Compartmentalize it. If you don't like Doge, go after that. But SpaceX is, an amazing achievement for a private company. I mean, they totally dominated our friend Jeff Bezos because he really said to NASA, I'm going to give you $1 billion. I'll do anything you want. They looked at both spacecraft, and the one that Bill Shatner went on didn't quite make the grade.
What about when it lands and they have like those chopsticks? Just grab it when it lands on SpaceX. It's almost impossible.
Yes.
It goes, I gotcha.
Yes, and
that's pretty cool.
To be able to reuse it instead of throwing it in the ocean brings the cost way down. So that, again, was a revolutionary feat of engineering. And I don't think people know this. I'm just going by the facts. I don't want to get any letters.
No.
Mark Andreessen is a big Silicon Valley investor in tech for decades. I know him casually. He explained that Elon is first and foremost an engineer. So if there's a problem with SpaceX or Tesla or whatever, he goes and sits in a room with the engineers for 12 hours.
I like that.
And that's why he can attract such great other engineers, because he speaks their language. There's no barrier. A CEO, I'm going to go golf and make a spaceship. He's actually in there. So I think if anyone is kind of considered a genius, he has to be. You can hate a genius, but at least acknowledge that SpaceX is a revolution. And Starlink, why I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah. Also, here's one part about the landing that I read about today that was interesting, is that a former astronaut said that they don't make money while they're up there, even though it's supposed to be for 9 days. So they probably made an extra 1,200 or something
for 10 months.
Yeah, because they get paid a travel allowance on those days. So this sounds like a joke because it sounds funny, but I want to get to the bottom of what they got paid, because that wasn't part of the plan. So this astronaut said that happened to them, and they got $4 a day. They usually get about $4 a day as an astronaut.
That's just bad management. If you sign a contract, you should have
bad agent.
You should have a stranded. Say again.
To accept this call, press 5.
Uh-oh. And now a word from our sponsors at Betterment. When investing your money starts to feel like a second job, Betterment steps in with a little work-life balance. They're an automated investing and savings app, which means they do the work. While they build and manage your portfolio, you build and manage your weekend plans. While they make it easy to invest for what matters, you get to enjoy what matters.
Their automated tools simplify the complex and put your money to work, optimizing day after day and again and again. So go ahead, take your time to rest and recharge, because while your money doesn't need a work-life balance, you do. Make your money hustle with Betterment. Get started at betterment.com.
That's BETTERMENT.com. Investing involves risk, performance not guaranteed.
Hey, Greg.
You're on with David and Dana.
Joe, come in. Joe, are you on the space station? Are you out?
I know, it sounds like he's on SpaceX.
Joe, what's today like? What did you have for breakfast? Let's just start. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
I've never been in prison, and I've never been in prison for, I guess, 7 years. And I know you want to get out, but how have you changed just being in prison all these years? What's it like?
You know what? I wouldn't believe it if I wouldn't have had to come live this. I really wouldn't. It's crazy. If the general taxpayer knew what was going on in here, they would either close it all down or cut something. They'd have to cut something. This is really there's no fiction. I mean, if I'd have done something wrong, there's no fiction what I'd done wrong, because this is all about drugs and alcohol and bullshit in here.
In prison it is. Is that what you're saying?
Pardon? Yeah. It's crazy. If they think they're going to win the war on drugs out there, they need to start by trying to win the war on drugs in here.
Are drugs run on the outside from the inside?
Yes.
Ooh,
okay, and what are the names and addresses of the guards who let the drugs come in?
No, the names are the bad guys too.
There are people who just want to stay in prison, right? Because they get drugs, three meals, and then they get to go run around and lift weights. Is that some people kind of like prison because of this?
A lot of them are what do you call it?
Lifers.
Conform to this lifestyle. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's sort of a structured life that is, when you get on the outside, that's why there's a lot of mental instability out in the real world more and more every day, because it's just so hard to function in a regular society. But there you got walls, you got meals, you got rules, and I guess you got drugs.
And Mike Tyson said he had a blast in prison. So
it's a little different than what you would picture. At least the prison that I'm in, because the prison that I'm in, there's no doors, there's no bars. It's open dorm, like a college, you know.
I like that floor plan.
You have movement every hour, you know. For 10 minutes, you can go from place to place, you know, whether it's library or rec or chow hall or whatever. But it's pretty insane. The amount of drugs, you know. I made it 55 years without seeing heroin, K2, fentanyl, or Saboskin until I came to federal prison.
Were you tempted to get back on, or were you ever on drugs and got off? I don't remember.
You know, that's the thing that I finally saw Tiger King for the first time about 4 months ago.
Oh, really?
You did?
Oh, it was a great show. I mean, it was riveting, right?
I was pretty disgusted with it to start with, because I was like, they made me out to be this big meth head, and I'm the only one on the show with teeth wearing clothes, you know?
That's a good point.
That's kind of like the show that Kate McKinnon made that was Joe versus Carol. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I was aware of it. I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Was it more accurate or what, from your point of view?
No, I mean, they made me out to be a whole lot more gayer than I am, you know?
So you're
a whole lot more gayer.
Gay, but they made you super gay.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make money, they would have casted David to play me, because that guy that played me went way over the top, man.
Listen, I can do super gay. Just give me some notes.
It was, you know, before they actually came out with that, they were going to cast Nicolas Cage, and I was like, no, Nicolas Cage is too dry. I said, come on. I said, you want to have a real show? You got to cast David Spade to play Joe Dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How about this? Here's my audition. Fuck you, Carol Baskin, you bitch.
I say you got it. I say we got a Joe Exotic. We have to make a third movie.
At least a callback.
We literally have that down. So, you know, I have 3 movie offers right now, and you know, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make it out of here either with a pardon or on appeal this year, one or the other. So yeah, when we do this new show, we have got to team up. It'll be a classic.
Ah, shit. Yeah. You have more movies than me and Dana do, and you're in jail. You've got 3 going.
There you go. Yeah. What an agent.
Who's your agent? What about, you can't ask Trump, but did some of your team, or was that someone else not involved with you asking for a pardon?
Federal prison.
I can't ask Trump what?
Oh, for a pardon, or did some other people try to sort of help with that?
Well, you know, my people are allowed to record phone calls, so I've made some pleas myself, you know, and then Jerry Jones's lawyer, the owner of the Cowboys, has done a press conference and made a plea to him. I've got an active clemency application, you know, in the White House now. And then the good thing is, Enrique, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he's pretty cool. He's the leader of the Proud Boys. He's gonna be in Mar-a-Lago Saturday, and he's going to talk to him about a pardon.
Okay, that's that sounds.
I don't know if that
sounds like a Saturday Night Live sketch about Trump.
What did you? By the way, who was the last person? We talked to some people from Tiger King. I did before. I couldn't get to you, but when I was on my old show, Lights Out, and when was the last person to see you? Did anyone come in to visit you, or do you still stay in touch? You know
what's crazy is the only person that has even checked on me was John Rinke, the guy with no legs, the old manager. He checks on me pretty regularly, but other than that, nobody has even concerned themselves whether I'm dead or alive.
If Carol Baskin came to visit you and you were across the glass, what do you think that conversation would go like?
If Carol had a conversation?
Yeah, she came to visit you in prison, and you two were talking, what would it be like? Weird or?
The crazy part is me and Carol really didn't have that bad of a war going on. It was just she made money convincing people that I was an abuser because I abused baby tigers because I took them away from their mom, and I made money on my podcast, I guess you'd call it. It was actually just an online television show back then on joeexotictv.com. I made money because it was easy to make fun of her because she was just batshit crazy. And I know she killed her husband, but that's where our war started, was when I started investigating Don Lewis's disappearance. And I kind of went to shit from there. But, I could actually look Carol in the face, right to this day, and the conversation would have to be like, you might have put me in prison, but you didn't put me in a cage because I've never been in an actual jail cell. But she threw me in prison. There's 1,400 dudes in here. It's not that bad.
Well, if I go to prison, I'm going to find out how to do that. If you could go back like 7 or 8, 9 years, what would you have done different? Do you have any regrets of thinking of how you would have handled the whole situation?
I'd have never have let Jeff Lowe in my life.
Okay. He was toxic to you, or what was the problem?
Well, Jeff Lowe is the scammer. He conned his way into my zoo, claiming that he was this millionaire, had all this money.
Okay.
Come to find out after he got his name on half the property, he was supposed to invest $300,000. Kelly was behind on his car payments. He didn't have anywhere to live, and then what has he got? He's pretty much selling his wife on OnlyFans to make a living now.
Oof. It's like a bad episode of Magnum PI.
Yeah, it's crazy. But,
So you and Carol were sort of more like wrestling at the beginning. Like, it was sort of an exaggerated version, like enemies, but you're just hyping it up for the show. And then it took a turn when it always takes a turn for the worse if somebody gets killed. And then you mentioned that, and then it ups the stakes. And now now she's really out for revenge. That's kind of it.
Yeah, since the show came out, since I've been arrested, she's gotten on TMZ.
This call is from a federal prison.
Oh, shit. I think I saw on Kelly Clarkson. She gets out there. You're right.
She got out there and she actually rooted for a pardon for me a couple years ago. And then about 5 months ago, she put on her YouTube channel 2 videos of her right-hand girl and Alan Glover, the hitman, talking on a telephone, and where Alan admitted that he lied about it all. So she's actually put evidence out there that's on my appeal right now that actually helps prove I'm innocent. So
why did the hitman lie?
Well, he worked for Jeff for so many years, and I think Jeff has some pretty good dirt on him because he'd done all of Jeff's dirty work. And Jeff wanted my zoo so bad that I think he blackmailed Alan. According to the affidavits and the video deposition we have of Alan now, Jeff pretty much blackmailed him into doing this so Jeff could get the zoo.
So, what are you?
Tangled web.
Now, it said that you euthanized, I guess would be a kinder word, 5 tigers, but it was considered made Carol really mad, or what was that situation?
Okay, I euthanized 5 tigers, and where the jury didn't never get to hear and explain anything was, I was licensed by the United States Department of Agriculture, and that's who allows you to have a zoo, and they're the ones who help you write your protocols, they're the ones who approve your protocols, they're the ones who approve everything you do. And my USDA inspector kept saying, Joe, you have 260 tigers. Why are you keeping these 5 alive? Because they're so old and they're crippled and they're in pain. So we came to the conclusion that we needed to go ahead and put them to sleep. There was 2 ways in the protocol to put them to sleep: by gunshot or as long as it was done instantaneously, okay, or by injection of vet euthanize them by injection. Well, in order to have the vet euthanize them by injection, you have to tranquilize them first so she can walk in a cage without getting killed. All right? So that takes about 45 minutes, and you have to keep tranquilizing them over and over and over, and they have seizures, and they have all kinds of throwing up and everything else. So the vet just figured out that, you know what, let's just put them down with the gunshot and have it done in a half a second. So that's what we did. And we buried him. Okay, well, the inspector that told us to do that couldn't be found to subpoena her for my trial. So the jury never got to hear her, okay?
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they didn't charge me with animal abuse or cruelty to animals or anything else. They charged me with taking 5 endangered species without a permit, because it wasn't the USDA who prosecuted me. It was a federal game warden that was working for Carroll that arrested me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like
You bitch.
They charged me with going hunting without a permit, basically.
Damn. Was there a plea deal at any point for less time and so forth and so on? Never a plea deal. So it was either straight guilt or innocence, and then they sentenced you to 21 years?
Oof.
Yeah.
Now, with good behavior, I've already done 7. Would you reasonably be out anyway in a couple of years, or?
If I have to do all of this, I'll be out September of 2030.
I
With
see.
gay
So
behavior?
4 plus years or 5 years.
Yeah.
I see. You'll okay.
This phone beeped and it's gonna hang up any second. So
Okay.
I've wanted for years to be able to talk to you, David. It's just you're that big of an inspiration from your movie you made, and this made my whole.
Oh, go right in the middle of his Oscar speech. God damn it.
Well, it's obviously you sound just like him, so he was enamored with you to play him in the movie. So it's very interesting, and he just really wanted to meet you. I think you're his favorite comedian.
Well, I heard a lot back then about him, and when it was going on, but there was nothing anyone could do about it. But I do think his story is very interesting the more we hear about it, because it does sound like he was hyping it up a little bit before, and then it got very dark very fast. And I don't know what to make of it. He just on the surface, he seems like a cool dude to like.
Well, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So the idea was they had to prove that he hired the hitman. I'd have to really look at the proof of that, because that was the linchpin, I think, for that. The euthanizing the tigers wouldn't have been 7 years, but a hire for murder of Carol Baskin because he believes she murdered her husband. So he was a vigilante at that point, kind of, or was he doing it? I mean, so in other words, that's the linchpin of the case. I'd have to look into it. I'm not an attorney, but
can you rep him?
Well, I wanted to announce it today that Joe Exotic has hired me to represent him in a court of law, and we'll be doing.
I didn't get to ask him. Did he gain weight? Did he lose weight? Some people go to prison. Most people get very skinny. He was very skinny anyway. Some people shockingly gain weight, and then you think, well, that might make sense because the food's so horrible.
It sounds like he says like a college dorm, and you walk around a lot. They probably are fed well. I think it's your own choice, but I have heard that drugs are rampant in prison, and a lot of people want to stay in there. Anyway, I don't know enough about the case, but he got convicted in a court of law. Now he's in prison. But we'll see. Yeah,
it's very interesting. We'll see in the YouTube comments. We'll talk more about it next week, because we'll hear their questions and see. We can make from it what you can make from it. We asked some good questions.
Yeah, I talked about the killing of the tigers, and the
Carol Baskin. I thought him and Carol it sounded like an awkward Tinder date at the beginning. You're like, what if you guys got to sit across from each other?
Yeah, what would you say?
Well, that's a good one. And also, he actually was friendlier about her than I would think, because after all this?
Whatever happened, he wasn't doing, you do the impression but with a B word.
Dana Carvey, you bitch.
Carol
That's all I can do.
Baskin.
If he comes out and does a dating show, or he and Carol Baskin live together, like, you know,
Well,
the
I was
real
going to
world.
pitch him Joe Exotic, naked and afraid. He's in this enclosure. It's like 3 miles across, like, you know, some kind of, there's tigers in there. And can he survive with no weapons or anything, just with his intellect? Can he
it's a
become the
12-minute
Tiger
show.
King?
And he gets killed
It's
immediately.
it's just we could shoot a pilot in the prison.
Okay, we'll do a sizzle. What about? I do like all the pitches though.
I just want to talk like that. You a
Now,
bitch.
Carol Baskin, she came in here. I can't remember the funniness of the show, but I remember everyone was into it. The whole goddamn country was into it.
Well, it was
And
just
it's good for follow-up.
redneck
Didn't
heaven.
really
Yeah, we just wanted to follow it up. We didn't want to, take sides in any way. I was just curious, So we let our viewers decide.
Yeah, he didn't. We let YouTube comments decide. But he didn't really sound like it was the most horrible place in the world. He had a good attitude about that.
You can walk every hour. I guess there's you probably lift weights in the yard. I just know from the movies and stuff like that. But it sounds like a low security or a minimum security prison. It's not like Rikers Island.
I wonder if there was any other famous people in there, that do like these mid-level crimes, so they don't really go to the hard prisons and they get sort of scampered
I think
around.
P. Diddy and Harvey Weinstein and others are kind of together at
What about
Rikers Island.
Sam Bankman, that clown?
Yeah, they're
Is he
all in
there?
Rikers Island having lunch together. How you doing, Sam?
Jesus,
What's
yeah.
up, P?
It's always like, there's some pretty cool people in here. And then you're like, well, those guys aren't cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so early, Dana. This
I
is why I look
know. You saw our producer's
like a
question.
pound puppy. All right, what else can we talk about, Dana? We got a lot to cover. We're going to switch gears here.
I was just going to say something about the astronauts until we are interrupted by.
I was saying they don't make that much up there, but we're going to find out about that.
Well, I say they
because-
should have a stranded addendum to their contract. Stranded.
Yeah.
And
They
then
will get it now.
They'll get $250,000 a month each for every month, because what happens is, without zero gravity that long, I'm not saying specifically their case, and I hope they end up fantastic. You get baby feet because there's no push off with gravity. So your feet turn into little rolled up soft baby feet. Your heart gets smaller,
Cute.
and I'm hoping that they can build that back up. You grow 2 to 3 inches taller.
That much?
That long in space, because your spine is never
Sign me up.
compressed. You'd come out 6'2".
Let's go.
6'2", smiling.
I'll cancel my trip to Turkey where I saw my legs off and had 4.
That whole thing. You know what? I say a good pair of boots and confidence is all anybody needs.
No way.
Good pair.
It's not doing enough.
Good pair of boots.
No, I don't even wear boots. That's what I should do.
We'll talk.
Sitting like this.
We'll talk later.
But those astronauts, I heard you get taller, but these are other things I didn't know. I didn't know about the baby feet.
Baby feet, heart gets a little smaller, but they, another 6 months. I mean, it is good that Elon got up there. Now, here's, again, you guys can put your comments in. So Elon Musk says that he was ready to rescue them earlier, but it was completely the Biden administration that sort of stopped that from happening. I don't know if that's true. That's what I heard. So that's kind of interesting.
Oh, really? Let's cut to the comments.
Give us comments.
We'll read some next week. We don't read enough on the air, but we'll read some. I read them. And they're usually pretty nice, I said. They're usually pretty good. And then there's a couple get in there. Sometimes they're just attention seekers.
Well, you're going to get, I don't think anyone has ever gotten a 5-star consistently.
No.
On a podcast, because there's going to be some zeros in there. You know what? Fuck these guys, man. It's just human nature. If it's 5.0, it's fake.
Just go against the grain. But I have a question about podcasts that before we start into other stuff. And I also bought a truck over the break.
God, you can't.
Was there?
Good for you.
I cannot stop.
Can't. I actually kind of want to buy a truck because I sort of live on a farm, but we'll get to that in a sec.
I know. My buddy goes, "What are you hauling?"
Well,
I go, "Mostly hats and coats."
Well, it's just look, they did a thing, and this is not a thing I'm making up. They put a man standing next to just a regular sedan. They put the same man standing next to a pickup truck, and then they did a poll with women, and they're like 87% more attracted to the guy standing next to the pickup truck. Do the math.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
I go and bring a trailer sometimes to get trucks. I go all over. I go on Instagram. I DM these people, these sites. Once you get on, I'm into cars, so I get like old. It's always old.
Well, what was it?
It was trucks from the 70s. These old F-250s.
I had dinner with a guy last night whose favorite car is the Camino, or is it called the El Camino from the 60s? That's sort of like the first kind of a flatbed truck, but also kind of. So those are sedan those, and he collects them. There's has one 1965. Loves it.
You know who drives an El Camino? You'll never guess.
Juan Corona?
Marky in Busboys, my character.
Oh, see, you knew, and I knew, and I didn't know that ahead of time, folks. This is not rehearsed.
You didn't know that.
I did not know that, but I kind of figured that you would be a Camino guy.
El Camino. I think John Stamos used to have an El Camino.
You should have. Is your character called Joe Dirt, but you never referred to it? That would have been funny.
It's funny that Joe Exotic brought up Joe Dirt, so I can see that. Busboys has some similarities that I am ready for already. It's really underdog stuff. You know what I mean? So there's themes in movies.
The greatest
Sandler does a lot of that.
It was back in the Caddyshack days and stuff. It was called Snobs versus Slobs. And it's the blue collar people versus the elite. And Adam does that in Happy Gilmore. He's got the nemesis is all Ivy League, and Sandler's like, Adam lives in a garbage can and just hits the shit out.
In a garbage can.
Well, it's just the crazy clothes. And he steps up to it like he's a baseball player. I mean, it's incredibly charming. And Waterboy was another brilliant example of the guy who has nothing going on, but he can tackle harder than any human.
Yeah. It's good if you're extra tough too.
Yeah.
I don't know how tough I am in Busboys. But I will say, okay, so I was telling you about a truck. Bring a trailer. I will say it's getting more complicated to buy it. It used to be click, click, buy, bing, bing. They should make it a lot easier, honestly, because people would buy more quicker.
Well, who vets?
It's still good.
Are they vetted? I mean, do you go look at them and kick the tires, so to speak? And
the problem with the new world of buying stuff is it moves quickly. Started Barrett Jackson. I used to go to that in Arizona. And then it's once a year, and you walk around, you look at them. The days of actually driving to meet someone in the Safeway parking lot, and then you sit in the car and you drive it around. They're not over, but it's also a little more dangerous. But you really have to know what you're doing, because most of the cars bought now are, for me, are online auction or Bring a Trailer or Barrett. And you don't sit in them. And you don't drive them. And that's the two things you really need to do.
Yeah, I think that would be very important.
Bad fucking neck and you sit like this. So if you do that, you need to do it. So sometimes I go sit in one of that type, so I kind of know what I'm getting and drive it. And then if I get a really good version of that kind of car, then I'll have the right kind.
And are the sellers rated like a Uber driver, like trustworthy? You can look online to get that. Right.
Sometimes on Bring a Trailer, they have a comment section during the 7-day auction, and it's 90% like mechanics and car people. So they're just in there. Can you check the phalange on that and show me a close up? I think there might be something a little itchy about it. And then they really like troubleshoot it almost for you. But this is getting too boring. Other than that, I will say, go ahead. You have follow-up questions?
I just wanted to say that, trucks and this and that and motorcycles, but you see a guy with a truck, it's like, okay, cool, and then it don't got no muffler. And so it just starts it up, and it feels like the car is saying, I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm a man.
I'm a man,
I'm a man. 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 Then they put on Surfing USA. Surfing USA. I'm a man. A man.
Barbara Ran. I'm a man.
Yeah. If you can't start the car, it's like, I'm impotent. I can't get it up. So that's not good. You wanted to.
Viagra.
What's your best
Viagra.
V8 starting up sound effect? Get on the mic.
I can do more of a jet ski.
Stop doing that.
There's water in it. Is that a bad one?
No, it's funny. That is if it triggered me.
Oh, motorcycle.
I've been doing a character called Sound Effecty.
Yes.
Walks across the grass. We've done this before.
Jesus, that's
opens
the grass.
Opens the car door. Adjusts the rearview mirror.
That's
starts
good.
it up. Windshield wipers with no rain.
Here, with no rain, it's like this. You turn them off, and then about 10 minutes later, you go, oh, fuck, are these still going?
That's the fucking intermittent, man. And you're like, oh, this is good. Then it starts to pour. You go back to full tilt, and then you go down. It's a fucking brain twister. I don't need this shit.
Game. I can't win.
Here's the world's worst sound effect comedian.
Yeah.
Walk across the grass. Open the door. Adjust the rearview mirror. He's terrible. He has one effect.
That's not bad.
You're the king of that. Come on now, king. All right.
Okay, so one quick thing about podcasts. I got a new name for Gavin Newsom's.
Oh, because you know what Trump calls him.
What does he call him?
He calls it, and he says it in a throwaway. He doesn't even emphasize it. Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is coming up.
Oh, yeah, he calls him Newsom.
Gavin Newsom.
He's got a podcast where he...
yeah.
I don't know. But
what does he do?
I guess they take calls to see how much to raise our taxes. But this is the name. Ready? And I can't believe it was right there for him. Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. Gavin.
I'll say here's a new nickname, almost like a rapper's
That's it.
name. I'm calling him the Human Pivot because he is he's come out against men playing in women's sports. It's a little shaky for a Democrat, and he's also had, I think, Charlie Kirk, which is a famous podcaster who's conservative, on his show. So I'm calling him the Human Pivot. He's pivoting to the center for 2028. 2028, you got to get right down that middle.
So he's going to run for president? Is that the idea?
Oh my God, they all want to be president. Every single politician at one point was probably president of the senior class, and then they want to be
a power position. Jesus!
But once you go in the Oval Office with the president, you go, "Really? This numbskull is this knucklehead is the president? No matter who it is." You meet Biden. I'm going to meet the president of the United States. Mommy, he's not like I thought he'd be.
All right, let's get to the big stories of the day.
Okay.
Keep doing Biden. We'll get to the big stories.
I'm being serious. Okay, big stories. Here we go.
Wait. Oh, Starbucks ordered to pay. This drives me crazy. I saw this story. $50 million to a guy burned by hot tea. Now, if it burns your wiener, I'm all in. But it always feels excessive because let's say at the drive-through window, the girl gives it to him and it spills. If it is not your wiener, I have a very, very strong stance.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your legs, third-degree burns. How many people would take third-degree burns on their legs or $1 million? I bet almost everyone would take. No, not everyone.
Yeah,
but a lot of people would take $1 million.
Right.
But 50.
That what I would say it was right. The face is melted, and then it matriculates to, as you call it, the wiener.
Peeling skin off, screaming,
and
maybe crash your car.
And do they really get $50 million? Isn't it kind of like a thing? And then
look at the bottom.
Well,
they ordered to pay $50 million. I don't know. I mean,
wow, it seems like
ordered to pay $50 million in a burn injury case out of LA County. The jury delivered that verdict against
She's
Starbucks
very
for
serious.
an
She looks like Julie
incident that
Bowen.
happened in February of
Okay, here we are.
2020. Video shows an employee handing an array of hot drinks, including hot tea, at the drive-thru, but a cup was unsecured and it then fell into the lap of the plaintiff, Michael Garcia. He suffered third-degree burns to his genitals. The jury found Starbucks liable for his injuries. Starbucks issued a statement disagreeing with the jury's decision.
Genitals,
and says
the
it
grossest
plans to
word.
appeal.
Well, were they curable? I mean, grafting. Let's get deep into this. Could they have made everything all good again down there?
People will still do it. Take away my genitals. I'm not using them anymore. Take away and give me $3 million. How much for your genitals?
I know. Then you go, what would blow for your genitals? It's hard not to sound drunk saying the word genitals. Your Honor, I just want to say to the court that is genitals. Have you been drinking, sir? You sound like you're drunk.
It is a sexy word. I like when girls go, let's see them genitals. I go,
You have instead of fantastic, you have a testicular imagination.
It's testicular.
It's a testicular.
Let's see. Another thing I have, Dana, I have a lot to say about this. The poor girl I just saw, I thought the guy wasn't close enough to the window. I'm going to play it again like this is a Zapruder film.
So he had to do a big...
Because he also made a stipulation that from now on, they offered him $30 million. And he said no. He said, I'll take 30 as a settlement if they make every employee screw on the cup or make a new way to do it for the tops to make them secure.
Right.
And they said no. And so they risked it, but they had to pay 50. But watch this. This poor girl trying to bust her hump, make her living.
Yeah, he's
working hard. Look how far that car is.
Burns to his genitals.
Or am I crazy?
Starbucks liable for his
It
injuries.
looked from our angle a bit far.
Like, look how far she's full plank, sticking her arm out.
Genitals. The jury, Michael Garcia, he suffered.
The thing they don't tell you is this
genitals.
Something like this happens.
Genitals.
47 times a day at Starbucks worldwide. So they're paying $50 million a day, and that's why the stock market is being cruel to them. Here's my thing that I always ask. What would blow the jury away? Did they get in there and some guy goes, fuck Starbucks. I say we give them 80 million. And they're like, are you nuts? 80? I say we give 60. That's insane. Finally, they get to the guy going, how about 50? That's more like it. That's a nice.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. That's reasonable.
Yeah, his head's screwed on. This is 50 feels good. I know Starbucks is rich. Okay. But that poor girl's going to get fired. Those jobs are tough too, by the way. Just like lining them up. Anyway, we're on this story too long.
Yeah,
Heather's stretching, and I know when she stretches, that means next story.
When she starts doing
Heather's like
yoga. Yeah, okay, that was 20 minutes on that one.
Oh, yoga. Look at this transition.
Oh, wow. Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson Beach Day. Okay, so Bill Belichick, the famous coach, and his girlfriend, he's 73, she's 23, just have to say it. They're on their backs, both of them? No, I don't understand. Where's
in
Bill?
The second picture, he's on his back. It looks like his legs go straight all the way to the knee. It looks like a grasshopper.
He's on his back and she's sitting on his feet. Yeah.
That better not be in her genitals.
I don't know what to make of this.
No, that's on her hip bones, but it looks a little too much like, hey, Dad, put me up here. You know, what I think is I'm all for them having a slight age gap.
I don't care about it.
She's 3, he's 500. Now, that's fine. But I will say to me, he was the once absolutely no attention coach out of just regular coaches. Every press conference, moving on to Cleveland, next week,
Yeah.
And she's an influencer. So we see who won in this combo.
He was called the Grumpy Lobster Man because he wore this cutoff sweatshirt when he was a coach.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
A man of few words. And now he's got this high-flying, sexually charged influencer.
Oh, sexually charged.
She weighs probably 115 pounds, so he can at least squat that. It's a reverse squat. I find this curious. am I disturbed?
The strongest Dana will say is curious.
I'm saying I don't know what to make of him. If she's of age to consent, I don't know.
Listen, she weighs 115. Even with my Carrie Underwood legs, I could toss her across that beach in 2 seconds. I'm strong. My legs are strong.
And in the comments there say she calls him daddy. So
daddy, minimum daddy.
No granddaddy. No grandpa. No. No.
No, Heather, I'm coming back and I'm putting my hat back on.
God bless them all. All right.
My hair is not great today, Dan, and we're not going to over talk about it.
I got up at 5 a.m. to work on this, so it looks like I'm not trying. Okay.
This shit show. I like this show today. It's fun.
I don't want to be identified as being in this time and place with you. Scarlett Johansson on why she refuses to take photos with fans in public.
Now, this is a great subject because, first of all, we'll start with we all love Scarlett Johansson.
She is amazing.
Super sweet. Known her off and on over the years.
Very
always
cool.
Friendly.
Yeah. I talked to her a lot when I was in New York.
Yeah, at the 50th, she was in a sketch. It wasn't like we were in it together.
She actually came up to me at one of the parties and she just had her hair up and was dressed different. And she's smaller than you'd think because she plays, superstar heroes. And she's talking to me for 10 minutes. And then I finally went, oh, you're Scarlett Johansson. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought she was.
But that shows she's quite unassuming for being stunner. But she did Suddenly E-Bike, Heather, remember? Suddenly E-Bike. That was on the 50th. Mm-hmm. But the interesting big question is, what do you do with fans that want pictures? And she really, I think it's ballsy that she comes out and says she doesn't take pictures in public. Well, she'll take them, I think, on a red carpet or at an event when it's work about the movie. But she's trying to have a regular life, and this rubs people wrong, and some people it rubs right, and some people it rubs their genitals. But
there's a whole lot of rubbing going on.
Yeah, okay, here's what else she says. I like to be in my own thoughts that have nothing to do with what other people think of me. I don't like being self-conscious. It is true, Dana, you know this. Whenever you take a picture, you go, I don't even want to say it's bad lighting. I don't even want to say I look like shit today because they always go, no, you don't. You look great. It's who cares? It's just give me that motherfucking picture. I don't care anything. I'm like, I've got blood on my face. I've got an actual live bloody nose. Just take it. It's fine. Right. You look great. So I was with a famous person who wouldn't take pictures.
We were hanging out.
No, you're very nice.
Well,
you were nice.
I'm too nice. I mean, Scarlett Johansson is different. She's a movie star. She's in Marvel movies. She's globally famous.
Yes.
And here's what I want to add to this, which I really discourage, is that now sometimes people will then just start taking video of you. You're walking down the street without permission, and they'll make a TikTok out of it. Scarlett Johansson looks sad or whatever. So
looks sad. Why is she so bummed today? Most people are looking at paparazzi and make that face because they just realize the fun's over. There's someone following them and filming them. So they go, ooh, they weren't in a good mood today. It's like, well, yeah, they just saw you. So why are they chipper?
And the problem is that someone like that, or really big famous people, obviously Brad Pitt or whatever, they start doing that. They draw a crowd and then they may be there for an hour. It's literally logistically impossible. The thing that I would do, and maybe people do it and we don't know, but you can get a prosthetic nose, which changes a face so radically that just sort of almost just goes right on like that and walk around invisible. And I bet people do that.
Sure.
And they run.
And you don't know it.
And then you don't know it. They walk amongst us. So.
Heather, the place where I get my prosthetic wieners, will you see if they have noses? Thanks. On it. Dana, also, she's very pretty, and she's always getting attention for being pretty anyway, like Zendaya. You add in famous, and it's too much.
I do think
chaos.
that men on the horny, inappropriate side, the predatory side, obviously it's bigger than women being predatory the other way, although it happens. I mean, I often thought that why do women chase pop stars? Like the Beatles used to get 300 women chasing them, but if they'd stopped and turned around, the women would have stopped. But so women have a different kind of lane for what we call creeps.
Sure.
and she's
exponentially worse.
Especially you're playing. She plays leading actress, the very attractive femme fatale in the movie, and this can get people crazy. So I have a lot of empathy. They just want to be artists. They did not plan on what was going to happen, and just try to respect them. When I was a kid, when I first saw a famous person, I didn't go up to him. I could just tell. I saw Michael Landon from Bonanza in a restaurant, and I got, nope, I'm not going to go over. You can just sort of tell they would rather be left alone.
My first instinct was, you owe me. You owe me.
I know.
And then I go and rub their genitals. When we were in Fantasy Springs, Dana, you were remember we went to dinner, we get a lot of, that was our own fault. We ate it. When you work at the same place where you're doing a show, it draws attention.
I never do that.
We ate there.
I have to say, I don't really have a face, and I've told people this before. It's very benign. If I'm like this and I change my lower jaw to Mickey Rourke, no one sees me, so I can walk around. But with David, with the trucker hat, what's up, everybody? It's like walking around Disneyland with a guy dressed as Mickey Mouse. I mean, everyone, you are famous, but you're very nice to your fans. You're casual.
We were nice in the airport. We're nice to everybody.
Yeah.
But I was saying, we were taking so many pictures. The funniest thing is at dinner, I never do this. And I don't want to bring any attention to you, but can I climb on your shoulders? Just for 1 second.
It is funny when you're in mid-bite. Excuse me, I hate to do this. I'm like, oh.
And they're like, and then one lady was just standing there because people kept coming up. One stood back. So I said, I was eating and I go, are you bringing us backstage? I go, we're almost done. We're going to pay up. And she's like, okay. And then when I went over to her, she goes, can I get a picture? I go, don't you work here? And she goes, eh.
Well,
why are you standing?
I had a big bowl of spaghetti and meatballs with extra sauce, and I hate to do this, so I just dove my face into the spaghetti and meatballs, and I turned, and it was just dripping off my face. She goes, you're not Dana Garfo. So
yeah, you're Carrie from the movie.
Look up Master Disguise, and one of the first scenes where my character Pistachio spills spaghetti and meatballs on the people all over their faces, and they're frozen like cartoon characters.
We never show clips.
If we could show a clip, that'd be awesome.
No, we can't. I couldn't.
My own movie.
Today. All right, one more.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. We're doing good.
It's amazing.
Okay. Play this.
Everyone on Earth peed into the Grand Canyon. You might think it would fill up in less than...
If.
Grand Canyon can hold about 1.2 quadrillion gallons, and the average person pees about half a gallon a day. So if all 8 billion people peed at the same time, they'd only add about 4 billion gallons of pee. At that rate,
everyone
peed,
it wouldn't fill it up.
Everyone on Earth is peeing in the Grand Canyon for 800,000 years to fill it up.
I would have bet the under. Wow.
That is one big canyon. I'll tell you that.
I like how it just starts as peeing in the Grand Canyon. And I went, what's the story? I guess it's if everyone peed.
This is what, Elon Musk is trying to stop. It was $2 billion to these scientists to figure out if everyone on Earth peed. It took them 7 years to get the number, 800,000 years.
Just to be on one TikTok where
you had a study where you said it would take the entire Earth 800,000 years to fill up the Grand Canyon. You got paid to figure that out. Your words, not mine.
And you're mad we're cutting that out of the budget?
What else are you working on? What's the next one? If everyone pooed in the Mississippi River, it would take 2 million years to fill it up with poo and feces. Now, can we have $1 billion for our study?
Yeah. And let me get my puke bucket.
If everybody puked into the Grand Canyon, we don't know the answer, but could we get $500,000?
Your words, not mine.
Your words, not mine. Your pee, not theirs.
Your study.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where all the money is going? That Doge is trying to get?
I don't know. I'm doging myself,
I guess we end on that little fizzler, but
I think so. That was a fizzy fizzle, but Joe Dirt 2, 3.
Joe Exotic. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we had Joe Exotic on. If you just click toward the end, so you can hear more ads.
Yeah, if you want the ads.
Hey man, it's called a post roll. I don't think
I
don't think we have a post roll. We just say goodnight, Cleveland. But so he fanned out on David. This should be in the introduction, but that was kind of fun. He really is a fan of yours.
I did like hearing about that during one of the few
fun
things.
It was
about
a 15-minute interview. We couldn't see him from some federal penitentiary.
We tried to get video for people asking. We tried to get video, and they said no. So,
and we heard someone behind him go, "Can I get the phone? I just want to call my mother."
I wanted to ask him, is he always nervous of getting beat up or something? I would be worried, like someone's out to get you, you know.
Oh, definitely. We have to create alliances. You have to get the
biggest. Does he have a boyfriend? We didn't ask any of this stuff.
I know. Well, yeah.
We're the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, well, always next time.
There's always next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dana.
See you next time, and thanks for listening and watching.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Superfly is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, Heather Santoro, and Greg Holtzman. Hope you liked it.
I'm Dana, and this is David. And up next, we're very excited. Our guest is Tim Meadows. Enjoy. Tim Meadows. Everyone loves Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows is an old buddy. I just immediately interrupted you. Tim Meadows is an old buddy of both of ours. He did SNL.
He really is. I interrupted back. Tim Meadows. It's like tennis. Go ahead. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to zip my trap.
He's a great guy, good looking. That matters in show business, unfortunately. And he has done a ton. He's got to be rich because he's always working at all times on many things. I knew him. We had a great time during SNL. We talk about that. You know, he and I bought a motorcycle. I bought a motorcycle that was Chris Farley's recently online, and I didn't know who I'm bidding against, but I finally bought it, and then I got a text from Tim saying, "Dude, you just outbid me." So we're online bidding against the world. I just thought, Farley's old Harley from Chicago. I remember this. Shoot, I'd like to have. That'd be cool to just have in my living room or whatever. And then he goes, "Hey, I don't have anything at Chris's," and I said, "Oh, I was bidding against you," and he said, "Can I have it?" And I said, I said, "Just pay me what I pay. You can have it," because he doesn't have anything of Chris's, and he's from Chicago. And they were really, really tight. Also, Dana, the Oscars now, we discussed the Oscars a little bit last week, but before Tim is on, we have to say that we taped Tim a little bit before the Oscars. So if he doesn't comment on it, that's not his fault. It's just, that's the way it shook out.
Right. So don't be at home going, "Shut up, Brian. I'm just going to comment on it." Just keep listening. Don't be one of those. Let me comment.
Also, Dana, what would you have done? Just be honest.
Well, Ed O'Neill, who will be on our podcast soon, said you just always take the big man off his feet. So I would have just aimed for beneath the knees and just got the person off the feet.
Yeah.
Get them on their back.
I think I'd be, if it's Will Smith, he's that big, I go, the first one's a freebie. And then he walks back up the stairs and I go, and he hits me again. I go, the second one, I'm willing to look the other way. And then toward the end of the Oscars, he's still beating me up. I go, on the fifth one. But I think what Chris should have done when he's coming up the stairs, that's when you make your move because you've got the upper hand. Like, have you ever seen fights at stadiums? The guy in the upper seats always wins because he's got the weight coming down on the guy. So I think that's the way you got to do it.
I would have channeled the deer hunter that if he slapped me, I would, "Mow, mow, mow." Either that, I would have said, "Please, may I have another?"
I just would have said, "Ow, ow." But I'm such a colossal pussy. Like, I just tried to picture that scenario, Dana. I was like, I'm picturing, let's say I'm at the Razzies one day and I'm hosting. And then Corey Feldman walks up.
Corey Feldman.
And do I knock the fedora off his head? I mean, what do I do? I'm just playing this a million times in my head.
Maybe comedians should take a beating. Where life beats us down. Maybe just Steve Martin's joke doesn't land. Whack. Get him in. Yeah, choke him out.
Go put him in a sleeper?
Put him in a sleeper. I don't know.
Yeah. By the way, Dana, I will tell you.
Last week's talk about it.
I know. We just, we can't talk about it forever. Will Smith, to me, nice enough guy. And I think when you have an image that you have to guard, when you're getting to the stratosphere of stardom, The Rock, Brady, Tom Brady, Will Smith, like everything isn't overly calculated, but everyone's telling you, say the right thing here, do the right thing. You know what I mean? They kind of have to play to the world now. Like, I have to keep everyone happy and be this big star. And when you deviate from that in such a huge way, because people, I think, in this day and age, especially the last couple of years, really appreciate authenticity and sort of celebrities and behind the scenes. And are you like a real person? And when you come out like that and do something so out of the blue, out of character, you almost question everything and you go, wait, what is going on here? I think it's tough for Will Smith. I don't think he's a horrible guy. This thing happened. I'm not a canceller. I'm not that kind of guy. So I would just say it'll fix itself at some point between him and Rock. But that's all. I have no more opinions.
Well, it's like Vin Diesel.
Is that an opinion? I don't know.
In the Fast and the Furious, where they're going across the canyon with the car upside down, and the passenger goes, "Was this the plan?" He goes, "This was always the plan." And you just wonder when Will was getting out of the limo driver's pretty familiar. Hey, have a good night tonight. Don't punch anyone on the stage. I mean, somebody snapped. Yeah. And you can always tell when somebody snapped. That means it's not the plan. Just like, boom.
It was not the plan.
Whatever was buried underneath went, yow.
Yeah. And listen, Chris is one of my best friends, and you love him, and so we'll stay out of it. But
love Chris.
I guess we're already in it. But I will tell you, I went to an Oscar party just to lighten the
lighten it up a little bit
before we get to Timmy. And the funny thing, Dana, is there's a Vanity Fair party, and the interesting thing is you get told if you're going, and then you get told if you have a +1, and when you get to go. That's you're always measured in Hollywood of how you're doing. It's so crazy. I didn't even notice it because I had gone a few times and I was going with Rock probably, or someone that had an invite. So I didn't need to bring anyone. And then I was informed, I don't have a +1. I go, that's such an odd thing to get an invite to go somewhere alone. And then the next year I was invited at midnight because you get slots every half hour.
Wow.
So I got midnight and no +1. I must have had a horrible year. Because it's too thirsty to try to stay awake and set your alarm and then go at midnight. Hey, everyone, you're like a salmon. Everyone's pouring out to go to Guy Series party after. And you're like, no, I'm here. So this year I got 9:30 and a +1, which is pretty good. But there's some years I said, maybe I'll try to go to the Vanity Fair. And they go, we tried. And I'm like, oh, gross. You have to ask? And they're like, yeah, it's just so crazy this year. I go, I can't even go. They go, yeah, it's so bad, dude.
I know. My invite said drop by next week.
Yours said you can drive by and beep if you go really fast.
No, when I went to the Oscars pre-pandemic with Mike Myers, we went to the Oscars, presented. We were at the Oscar party, and they said, we're going to the Vanity Fair party. I didn't have an invite. So I wasn't going to go over there and go, could I get in?
Oh, you didn't even go? You could have gone.
Why? No, what am I going to do? Do Garth? I'll do Garth to get in. I'd like to get in
They
now.
go, there's no Dana Carvey, and then you mess up your hair and slowly turn and go, is there a Garth?
No, it's like from the movie. I'd like to get by now, and I'd have a little amateur stun gun for Wayne's World fans. I'd like to get by now, and then I would just shock the guy.
Yeah, we went to a party after. I was with Theo Vaughn, a comedian, and I brought that goat roper with me. And then we went to a Guy Who's Serious. That's where Rock was. So we saw him. We saw a bunch of people. He's just sitting on a patio with like Jennifer Lawrence, Woody Harrelson, who's super cool. And so we just went out there and bullshit with him. But he seemed all right. I don't want to talk too much about that. But I think Rock is going to be fine, land on his feet. And I would imagine he would want this just to blow over. Because you don't want people to think one thing. When you're doing stand-up, you just want to do your act. And you don't want them to keep yelling out something, or trying to get you. Because there's really not that much funny to say about it. And it almost gets too serious. So it's better to just buzz through your jokes.
What we've learned in recent times as a society is that stories go ballistic and then they fade away. All of a sudden, it'll just be behind us. And they just wait for that time, Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I watched the Grammys last night, and it was everything the Oscars. The Oscars had great hosts, and Chris was great, but obviously it had that debacle. But the Grammys was amazing. Like all the music was brilliant. I mean, it really was
one
impressive.
funny thing, and this is not taking away from Trevor Noah because he's a cool dude. I saw him actually there the other night. He's hosting, but what do? You're the next guy to host. So the jokes are kind of tepid only because you don't want to cause a national worldwide ruckus. So he's like, hey, Billie Eilish. Is Eilish really your last name? No, it probably is. Actually, it's a really good name. It fits you, and you're a great singer, and everything's going well. Anyway, let's look at this table. I'm like, are these jokes? I think he's just giving compliments because you can't do a joke anymore. You know what I mean? He's probably so scared that someone's going to get offended on Twitter with their fingers up going, you say the wrong thing, dude, and we're going to dig 19 years into your past.
I laughed my ass off. I was at home. He said, hey, folks, how you doing? I don't know what, the way he said it or something. I was like, that is funny. What's up?
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right, let's get on to Tim. Great dude,
This is
Timmy.
longer than Tim's episode, so I think...
Yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have time for Tim Meadows tonight. He's been bumped off his own podcast.
You mean the one where we had a guy do Trump and I did Biden?
Yeah.
The reason I said yes to that, because I knew I don't have any natural discipline, but I knew if I said yes to that, I would actually look at Biden a little bit and get some hooks. But in the writing of it, it's what I call a hot oven politically, Biden. You don't want to ding him too much, because I had this line of like, do you think there's a crisis at the border? There's no crisis at the border. How do you know? Because it says so on the piece of paper. Who gave that to you? The man. Who's the man? The guy. He comes in. You know the drill. Come on. Number one, the guy comes in. Number two, the two part. Number three, come on, people. I love how he gets mad at you because you don't understand what he's saying. But yeah, I did do that. And that was kind of flat, because if you're doing an impression and you don't get to do your rhythm, then you're just stuck in jokes, and then it deflates the balloon. It has to be a marriage of the rhythm and the top and above. But you know, with ladies, man, I'd like to jump ahead. No, sorry. I want to know
let me
about.
Just say this first. I think the thing that I love about it, though, is that it now gives everyone a hook into doing to doing Biden. Like a normal guy on the street now can do that rhythm and do Biden to his friends, and I think that's huge. You know,
that's a trick. You're right, Timmy. Once you get a hook, then I would do Lorne based on Dana's Lorne or whoever. I didn't.
And everyone, it spread like locusts. I don't think anybody doesn't do Lorne from the history of Saturday Night Live.
I wonder if they did it in the old days, because once you hear it, it's so funny just to talk like him. It's so funny.
From my personal history, but maybe I misremembered it. When I got there in '86, no one was doing it. It seems remarkable. Smigel has a good ear.
Yeah.
The hook that I finally told Lauren was him on Wednesday at the board, kind of doing the sketches back and forth, picking the show. And he would say, I still have no fucking first act.
Yeah.
And that was, and then he would hold a card that Whitney Brown had. It was anyone, the pig and the goat. Anyone? We didn't think it was very good, Lauren. I thought it was breathtaking.
Shit, I was.
But that's where I got him from. That I still have no fucking first act, and that's where it came from. And then I think Smigel was bouncing off me, and then everybody did it. But you know, whatever. I don't have to be the originator. I don't have to be God.
I wonder if like the original cast had like a different version of Lauren than what you had, because you definitely had like the superior, you know, mentor elegant guy who was in charge of it all. And like, I wonder if he was like that when he first started with those guys, you know, like if their impression is like a quicker, like wittier version of that.
I do know that the first year Lauren was like this, guys, we got a big show tonight. Let's try to get it going.
And then by year 5, Lifetime limousine. You know, Paul and I, sometimes we go and we just buy socks. Really. I mean, he had a car. He had Eugene. He had a driver. I mean, he was an adult.
Want to come by 88 for dinner? Remember 88?
Never underestimate the value of lasagna. Whatever. But
I asked him where I should live, and I go, my rent's kind of high, like $900. David, I think it's where you live is important.
He always does your name
pay,
first.
But I would pay, and I'm like, well, you're not paying me enough to, okay. I'll get it. I go, well, I have to pay it every month. And he's like, oh, I didn't know. I don't know how that works.
My rent was was like 22,000 a year. And I think I was probably netting about 35 in the first season, and happy to be there. The exposure alone. But anyway.
No, I was going to say, he had told me at one time, it's better. He was like, it's better to live in a place you can't afford because it makes you work harder to keep it.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Like, that's a good one.
That's pretty.
I'll do anything to keep these countertops. I will not let go of this fucking marble. I will do another show. Call Tina. Marcy, the Book of Lauren, page 3. What do I say here? I don't know, Lauren. I'm going to fly now. You don't fly, Marcy. Stop it. So you guys get me going. Tim is a great, audience.
Tim is good.
And a great
when
comedian.
you go into Lauren's office and I go on the board and I go, and I look for my update and I look over to where the cemetery on the left, where it's not in the show, it's everything that got cut. You wonder if it even got moved. If it was even a debate. Yeah. It's just exactly in perfect line what it was. And I go, I'm not in the show this week. And then I look over and he goes, Lifesaver?
Or popcorn.
Shirts?
I had the same experience. I would see Church Chat in the first act, then a Wayne's World, then Hans and Franz after Update. No, I'm kidding.
I'll fucking kill you.
No, it's an emotionally violent place for the best of us. But I just want to, because we're podcasting, just very quickly explain it to people who don't understand. We go to a read-through in a little room. Well, it's like 50 people. We read sketches for hours. Each sketch gets a 3x5 card with the name. It would be Church Lady or
Gap Girls, whatever. Ladies Man.
Would they say Leon Phelps or Leon Phelps? I don't know. Ladies Man. And then they're on a giant bulletin board, and then there's it's sectioned off: first act, second act, third act. And so then he starts putting them up, and you'd see your sketch go up, and then someone would say something, he'd pull it away from the wall, and then he'd place it where the no sketch not getting on the show area. And sometimes people go, I like David's, and he'd go back over. Anyway, I just want to set that scene.
You want to fight for it? You want to
driving
put your job on the line for receptionist?
But the one thing I liked about Lauren in retrospect, he was like a coach I had in high school, because I think he loves sports metaphors. And so to get a true compliment from Lauren was really special. Yeah. He was not one to pass them out. Dana, is this ever going to work? That'd be,
Yeah.
It'd be really nice if it would be like, really, really funny. That would be a good thing.
I was like Rudy.
So fun. You were like Rudy the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were not. You became the bad boys of Saturday Night Live. I thought that was funny when you got you and Schneider, and you were like the bad boys. And the true bad boy of that cast was Tim.
Tim?
I've hung out with Tim a little bit and heard some of his stories. And there's a street side to Tim. It's not any ego. It's not braggadocio. It's just he has a side of him. I don't know if it's Detroit or something, but Tim can go. Yeah, you will want him on your side in a fight. Because
Tim, were you going down to beat up the guy from the New Yorker or whatever?
Only if someone fucked with him. Tim's not trying to pick a fight, but
Yeah. I grew up in Detroit, so I kind of just don't. I have very low tolerance for like when I'm getting bullshit from people. I don't know what happened when I told you about Dana, but yeah, I mean
at a baseball game with your son. Maybe it was a professional game. And
a basketball game. Bulls game. Yeah. We were pulling out of this parking lot, and it was kind of crowded. Should I tell this story? I don't know. It's not. I want
it. This I want to hear.
This
will be fascinating.
We have 3.5 more hours. Just tell it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is the last.
No, this is great stuff, Tim. I love it.
I was pulling out of after a Bulls game in this parking lot, and with my son and his friend, we just saw the game, and it was crowded, and we were all trying to move through the parking lot, and then this guy just like would not let me through, and like I was like, oh, okay, whatever, And then he pulled up next to me and he told my son to roll his window down. And my son said, he wants me to roll my window down. And I was like, no, don't roll your window. And then I was like, no, roll it down. So he rolls it down. And the guy goes, hey, you think you're special? You just get to move in and out of here like you want to? We're all trying to get out.
No, not the right thing to say.
And I go, well, first of all, don't you tell my son to roll the fucking window down. And yeah, I am special. You can ask anybody in this fucking parking lot. Everybody knows me, motherfucker. And he was like, yeah, you're special, huh? I was like, yeah. You want to get out of the car? We can get out of this car right now. We can go at it, motherfucker. And my friend, my son and his friend were sitting there just looking at me like, what the fuck is going on? I could not believe this guy was talking to me like that in front of my kids, first of all. And then second, like he was telling me, like, he had the right to get out in front of me. Like, we're all trying to get out of here,
I like that.
I know. Have it.
You don't even fight the special part, which he was hoping you would. You go, I don't think I'm special. He goes, yeah, you do. You go, I do think I'm special. He goes, oh. Took it away from him. He's like,
the first day I met Lovitz, I had almost the exact same verbatim exchange. I was Tim and John was the other. Just come on, motherfucker, let's go right now. The reason I like that story is because I avoid conflict. Like, we were talking to Chris Rock, and he talked about how tiny he was in high school. So I want, like, when I was 14. Went to high school. I was out for D basketball, which is like, there was D, C, junior varsity, varsity. So D, it's not a joke, but our center was 5'3". He controlled the paint. But my point is this, I'm not kidding. It was midget basketball. So I was 5'1".
Midget basketball.
Can't say that, little people. I was 5'1", 92 pounds at age 14. And you were you big? Probably.
I was small. I had my growth spurt, if you call it a growth spurt, like in high school, like probably in like the 11th grade. I think I got I went from like 5'7" to 5'10" or whatever, like in my height. And then, but when I was a kid, I loved sports and I could play sports well in my neighborhood, like with my friends and shit. Like I could play quarterback. I was good, And then we played Little League football. And everybody else, it was like grown men showed up to play Little League football. Like these guys were like 6'1", fucking 220.
Bearded 14-year-olds.
And the coach at one point, I was a scrub and I accepted the fact I played like defensive back. And I was like, I was a scrub and I accepted the fact that I was a scrub. But one time the coach, they ran out of tackling dummies. And so they wanted them to do like a figure eight around.
So you became the tackling dummy?
He put me in the middle with two other tackling dummies, and they ran blocking drills around me.
Fuck that.
That's how much of a scrub I was, man.
Now, when you say scrub in this context, I think I know what you mean, but what is a scrub in that context?
It means like not second string, not third string.
Even
practice squad.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to hang out. Like my best friend was a good running back. So it was like, okay, well, he's friends with this dude. So we won't cut him because he plays hard. And he also let us use him as a practice dummy. So I
love flag football, man. I was a running back, flag football. And I was really good, believe it or not. Last time, and as soon as tackle football came in, it was forget this.
It's over.
Forget it.
I was pretty fast too, pretty much a runner. Man. But I'm Spade from Detroit also, but I'm also a colossal pussy. So you just never know.
I thought I saw you were a Phoenix guy.
I was born in Bloomfield Hills. Oh, and then that's in Detroit, I guess.
I didn't know that.
For 4 years.
Yeah, it's outside of Detroit.
And then I said, let's move it out when I was 4. And my dad said he had a job.
Get the wagon train going.
Arizona. We were 4, 6, and 8. And my dad was sort of, here and there, like jumping around. And he goes, I got a job in Scottsdale. So we all moved to Phoenix. And then he goes, I don't have a job. And then he left. and then he left. And he left my mom. And we're like, later I said, can't you just divorce her in Michigan where she has friends? He's like, Too easy, too predictable.
Jeez, he's kind of fast on his feet. I see where you got your wit. I mean, and no remorse. Well, in my day, first of all, I had 3 older brothers beating the shit out of me, plus the dad. So I was pounded night and day, which made me have a lot of anger, but it would come out verbally. And in grade school, I got the big kid, Steve Lee, to be my best friend, and he was my enforcer. And I actually had a club called the Great Club in 5th grade.
Jesus.
It had a moniker.
What a weirdo.
There were only 3. It was Dave Marquez, Steve Lee, and me. And everyone wanted to be in the Great Club. We say, how do we get in the Great Club? I go, you got to be great. That was 5th grade. So, Tim.
Stupidest club.
I've been asking, before we get into SNL and Groundlings or Second City, I've been curious about, because I want to paint a picture of you in your formative years, I call them. Like from age 3 or 4 to 12, and influences, the things I'm interested in are movies or theater or music, what was influencing your eventual career choice. And also just for fun, if you got a bike that was really special to you or toy that you remember or, so anyway, you don't have to answer. You could do it. You could punt on this one or just...
No.
What was your first movie that you remember seeing that affected you, or TV show?
Well, I think like when I was younger, Jerry Lewis, and was hysterical to me, and my
Nutty Professor on TV,
your cousin Benny,
even some of the black and white, even some of the like black and white stuff that he did, we used to just laugh at, But I think like. The one movie that like was like influential where it was like, whoa, I like this movie and what these people are doing was Blazing Saddles.
Oh,
where I saw it.
Yeah.
And then I went to visit my brother in college. So I was like probably 16 and he was in Eastern Michigan and he was an usher at this movie theater to make money. And so just to give me something to do, he was like, just come hang out and watch this movie. You got to see it. It's really funny.
Yeah.
And
how was it in the theater though?
It was in the theater. Yeah. And I sat there and watched it all day. I watched it every showing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I went with them in the morning and stayed until it was over with. I fucking loved it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
I still think that about it. It's like, whoa. And Cleavon Little was the star. And then I did a sitcom with Mickey Rooney in New York in 1981, my first job. And Cleavon Little came on as a guest star. And I was starstruck. But Scatman Carruthers and Mickey Rooney probably never saw Blazing Saddles. But I kept wanting to talk to Cleavon about that film. And
you kiss his ass?
Yeah.
I kissed his ass. I was trying to get stuff out of him, see if I could get a job.
Tell me if you guys laughed at when I went and saw accidentally, my brother took me to Life of Brian, and I thought it was so funny. And I came out of nowhere. I was like, I didn't really get it. It was English, but it was still silly and funny. And I started to get into it going, this one's pretty funny too. And I had no expectations. So, the other ones I like, Animal House and all that shit, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm such an exquisite palate. I understand all the European comedies too.
And what about people on TV? Like, for me, it was seeing, Laugh-In or Flip Wilson or Carol Burnett or the Smothers Brothers.
Yeah.
And you guys, bleeding into the 70s, there was Steve Martin going on TV and, just this whole counterculture started to happen with Carlin becoming a hippie and Pryor. And there was all that movement in 75 with the beginning of SNL. Full circles. Yeah. See, I did that. Thought they were just talking about stuff. I bring it right back. But what were you
go to like into a commercial or something? For like,
I don't even know if we have commercials.
We're gonna have so many ads. What? We have to have special things where Dave and I go into a chamber and just read for hours.
No,
it's all we do is Dollar Shave and Manscaped. Those are our only 2 sponsors.
Whenever
Dollar Shave and Manscaped.
Timmy gets into a good story, we go into a split screen and we do a commercial while he's on mute. And then we come back and Timmy goes, and that's what happened.
Tell him that. Don't give away what we're gonna do. But who were you? Were you like an Animal House, that kind of thing, or were you Monty Python, or were you Saturday Night Live, or all of the above?
Yeah, all of the above. I read like National Lampoon magazine.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
You know.
Yeah,
and it was when you would buy them back then, especially where I grew up. But I always felt like they had them by mistake in my store, because it was like they had nothing else like that. But they would sell them near the Playboy magazine because they thought they were because they had nudity, and so eventually
cartoon nudity, right? Drawings,
and also photos, because they would have this thing called photo funnies.
Wow!
And they would show titty in it.
Yeah, I called them whack-off funnies.
Titty, you mean bosoms or breasts? But titty has a playfulness to it. I don't know if it's offensive, but it's kind of like titty.
Oh, really? Here's me looking through Lampoon. Photo funny.
So what?
I don't even look at the joke. Boobs.
Woo!
I'll worry about the comedic purposes later.
I want to go back to his childhood. What was your favorite meal? Okay. Macaroni and cheese, spaghetti, pizza as a kid.
Lean cuisine.
At McDonald's. What was a special treat or a special dessert in your house?
A special treat, I would have to say, of those choices, I would say macaroni and cheese.
Always works.
Pizza rolls.
My earliest memory is like, waking up from a nap and smelling chicken being fried in the kitchen. Which sounds like the beginning of a sitcom song.
Or some kind of Tennessee
Tyler
Williams play. Yeah.
I love Good Times, by the way. Did you laugh at J.J. Walker? I thought Good Times was hilarious.
You know what? I thought J.J. Walker
was a hack.
I thought he was no.
We could cut anything you want.
As a kid, you're like, hack.
No, I thought he was funny. I liked him better on the show than when I saw him doing stand-up when I was younger. I thought he was funnier on the show.
I had a bone to pick with him. But finish your thought. I had a problem with JJ.
Whoa.
Not really, but I'm playing the Westwood Comedy Store. I'm coming down from San Francisco because George Schlatter saw me up there. I had a good set. I was so green. I was in college. I didn't know anything. I bought a corduroy suit with a corduroy vest. And then I got invited to do a spot at the Westwood Comedy Store. I had a girlfriend at the time with me there. I went up and bombed epic. I didn't know how to get out of bar. I did my Star Trek bit, everything. I'm drenched in sweat. It's dead silence. I go over. I'm in a booth. I sit next to the girlfriend at the time, and she's scooched away.
Whoa!
And then they said, "Get J.J. Walker. I think he's going to walk the audience." So J.J. went up on stage, turned to me, and said, "Watch how it's done, young man." Which I don't really blame. I'm not really mad at him at all. But that was you said J.J. Walker. I got a little triggered, so I'm just going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to take a cool bath. This happens a lot in the podcast, and I'll be right back.
Everyone triggers Dana. Everything
triggers me. So
that's probably the only time someone said, "Get me J.J. Walker."
That was the last time.
He's going to walk the room. He walked the room. Yeah. You don't want to walk the room.
J.J. Walker.
On Cameo, if he says dynamite, it's $5 more.
Right.
Is it worth it?
Well,
it's worth it, I feel.
I don't know. I have a character, because I wanted to be like Larry the Cable Guy. I think he has that great get her done.
Oh, yeah.
I have a character. I'll just do one line. It's new, but it's intentionally bad. Red Necky, the redneck comedian. Okay? I'm Red Necky, the redneck comedian. I married my sister only because mama turned me down. Come and get some. It's the come and get some. Mama said, "Red, what do you want to do?"
I found it.
You found it. Mama said, "Red, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I just want to live in a shack and drink beer all day." Mama said, "Don't dream so big because you always end up disappointed. Come and get some."
There it is.
Come and get some. I got catchphrases. I just don't have the platform.
Dude, where's read through?
Did you workshop the catchphrase? That's pretty good.
Come and get some. Well, I have this other podcast called Fantastic. My son named it, but I kind of hatched it on that. We almost call it Come and Get Some. It's surprisingly, it's positive. It's like life. Come and get some. Even though what he's saying has no relationship to it. So, how the creative process, whatever.
Here's another one, Tim. Ready? It's a little undercooked, but it's for, it would be for read through. Mm-hmm. I say like a joke, like I used to say, bless you when people sneeze. Now I say, oh, fuck, we're all going to die. Rack 'em.
Rack 'em is a good one.
Because, when you play pool and you hit the 8-ball and you go, rack 'em.
Yeah.
So we got rack 'em. We got come and get some.
So with Timothy Meadows. Now there's this section where you've been influenced. You're dreaming. You're like 18, 19. When do you first kind of say to yourself, I'm going to try this? Or was it a slow process?
Yeah. When does it cross your mind to do comedy for real?
For real. I was in college at Wayne State University. Mm-hmm. And the
that checks out.
It was because
I did a Wikipedia dive. Yes.
Oh, nice.
I says Wayne.
Look me up.
Yeah. We come prepared on this podcast.
I go, I know for sure, Tim. Is this? Yeah. Yeah.
So you're in a radio and television program like I was in. You're not in theater at that point, right? Or both? Yeah. You were doing both. Yeah.
No, I was doing both. And
okay.
I was into radio. And I'll tell you a little side story. Howard Stern was doing his radio show in New York when I was in college. Yeah. And it was one of those things where it was like, can you do something funny like this guy is doing,
Yeah.
And so it was like the one way I thought, okay, I could like sneak being funny into being a radio DJ. And so I tried to do that a little bit in college. But then I
did too, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was what I kind of wanted. I was like, oh, I can maybe try to be funny, because I was funny around my closer friends and stuff. I was like the funny dude. Everybody else was like cool or athletic or smart or whatever.
Chicks like funny.
And most people that are funny with their friends get that wake up call when they try it and then they realize they're not. Like most people that go and stand up amateur night and they're like, I'm the funniest guy at the office. When Pat goes into the coffee room and everyone goes, and so then they go, I'll just keep it at the office because you don't know my references. But that's where you're breaking through. You're doing it. And then you've got a little nugget of something that keeps you around. And they keep you around too.
So what did you do? I mean, with this thought, where did it evolve to where you got on stage to get laughs?
Well, I took these improv classes because I read a story about this teacher in Detroit who had studied under Del Close.
Del Close.
And I knew Del Close's name from being a fan of National Lampoon Radio and all that shit and SNL.
All that shit.
So I was like, so I was like, this is like, I had a reference to something that, not a lot of people had a reference to.
Yeah.
And so I took classes with this guy, Jonathan Round. And then I took his class. He was the first person to kind of go, you're doing something good or whatever. And then he put me into his improv group, basically.
And this is in Chicago?
In Detroit.
Detroit still. Okay.
Yeah.
Del Close?
No, this was Jonathan Round.
Okay.
He studied under Del Close.
Oh, okay. Del Close is a famous Second City teacher.
Improv director.
Yeah. Considered brilliant at his job.
And
where is he stationed in Chicago?
He was.
Jonathan Round was in Detroit.
Detroit, but the main Del Close. So you sort of like went from JV to meet with the real guy?
Yeah. Because what happened was, I mean, it's a long, you can Google it and read. I don't know.
This is your show.
I mean,
I just tell us how you're feeling. Like, besides the logistics, what are you feeling? Like you're excited? I think someone said you're good. Someone said you're funny. It's huge.
Yes. And I was so I was telling my friends, my real friends about it. Like, I took these classes and I get on stage and we make stuff up and I'm really funny, and like they like it and stuff. And then my friends even started to come and see the shows and stuff, and they validated. They were like, "You're good,"
So it's going up now. Yeah, it's like, whoa.
It's going, yeah. And so like there was points on stage working with the people that I was working with, because we were doing long form improv and we were doing short things and games and singing and making up stuff, on stage. And there was nothing like that in Detroit. So people would come and see it, because there was no other game in town. It was only us.
Yeah.
And so we had recurring audiences of people that would come and see our show. And that was where the spark came for me. It's like, you guys know, like being up on stage and feeling like you cannot do anything wrong. You make the right choice
by the way,
words. You make the right improv, like suggestion.
Nothing like it.
And so,
by the way, everyone understands kind of. I'm sorry to interrupt him, but that comedy is hard to do stand up, but improv is so fucking hard, and people, I think they get it, but that whose line is anyway doesn't convey how hard it is to think that fast on your feet. I did it for fun with some comedians, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm pretty fast, but I go, it's a whole different muscle you have to learn, and if you're good at that, you have to be proud, because it's hard as shit.
You do get, it is like being an athlete, right? That you get acclimated, your brain gets kind of fluid. Robin Williams used to come up, I'd be doing stand-up in San Francisco in the late 70s. He was on Mork and Mindy, and he would just come up on stage and start riffing with me. And he was like triple time, it was just like, but it does make you start to pick up, wake you up. But so go ahead, your experience though. Yeah. You became known as...
the Chocolate Thunder in Chicago.
Was that your nickname? No, that's a basketball player. Who was that? Dawkins or
Daryl Dawkins?
Daryl Dawkins.
Yeah.
76.
I was called the Alabaster Assassin.
I was called Casper the Fruitcake.
I thought only Lorne called you that. Can you get Casper the Fruitcake in here? Because
they used to say, "You're Lorne's boy." I'm like, he doesn't put me on. I wish he'd hate me, and then I'd be on every week. Which one's
you
better?
Were in his office
Lorne
every week
you.
with a single tear coming down. Lorne doesn't like complainers. No, I made that up. Sorry. We're starting to develop
I yelled at Downey once. What a mistake.
Jim Downey, the famous head writer, you yelled at him?
Well,
was one of the smartest people I've ever met. Timmy, in that improv group, was there a thing you were known for, or a hook, or did you start to develop
playing freeze tag?
Tim's really good at this, or was it just the entire structure of all the different things?
In the beginning, I think I was really, really good at introducing comedic ideas, and then and I was also really good at supporting other ideas and adding to it, without taking away from the person doing it. And so I think people really got that people trusted me on stage, because I didn't abandon scenes even if they were failing,
right? Or undercut, or all the different childish Shakespearean.
Well, if you're that's good team player shit when you can see improv, and when they come to SNL, I think they're pretty good at that because they've just been doing it. And stand-ups, they always said, had a little harder time sharing the spotlight, but you sort of figured out, like, I don't talk at this part.
Well, people,
the other blob over there talks now.
I think this blob over here says something, and then back to me.
Have you ever had people say to you, "Oh boy, you guys must go crazy on that Saturday Night Live," just like saying whatever comes off the top of your head?
They think it's all improv. I go, "You're out of your mind."
There's no improvisation on Saturday Night Live. You do all the improvisation backstage in writers' rooms and riffing, and then up there you're locked in, unless you're in one. Which, when we get to your ladies' man character, you had a lot of time with a locked shot. So you could be a little playful. You could take something in the moment, but not when they're cutting around, So,
or when someone else is involved, you don't want to throw them off.
So let's, just for going to take a 20-minute break and start. No, but they. And
then I'm going to press record.
So you're.
Yeah, we should start soon.
Oh, whoops! No, it's going. We got a recording thing. So this, how many years between this and then you getting on SNL? How many years were you in the trenches? And was SNL your big?
Well, when did you go to Chicago? Are you in Chicago yet?
I just get to Chicago.
Just get to Chicago,
and get into the improv scene there, because Dale Close is actually there teaching. So I started taking his classes, and I get put on a team. Our team becomes the best team at the club. We're like the second best Herald team in the city, which means nothing to you guys, but it was like a thing in the improv community.
That's a big deal.
I get that.
It was a group we were called Grime and Punishment. And then I was taking classes.
Crime and Punishment? Crime and Punishment.
Crime and Punishment?
Oh,
come and get some.
I was in the Coconut Kids for a while. We didn't go very far. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, was that with Favreau? I didn't know Favreau did improv, to be honest.
Yeah, Favreau was there during that time too.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I was doing that, and I was taking classes in Second City. This teacher that I had named Jeff Machowski said, I want you to audition for the touring company. I auditioned for the touring company, got hired with a whole bunch of people that are now famous people, like Amy Sedaris, Jane Lynch, like who else got hired? Like Stephen Colbert got hired that year.
Stephen Colbert, how did he end up doing?
Let me text him. I'll see if I can get him
on speed dial. So did Farley come around? When did Farley appear?
Farrell's
or Mike Myers.
My first year. Farrell's came after my first year touring. He was like the next year he was auditioning, and I met Farley like doing improv over at Improv Olympic when I wasn't on the road touring, and so I got to like improvise with him and his team. And then
what's touring mean? Do you literally tour?
Yeah, you tour with the Best of Second City show.
In a bus or cars?
You go all over. You play theaters all over the country. You like fly somewhere.
Really?
Oh, okay.
You get into you rent a van. They drive you. You do a tour of like colleges and small theaters.
I didn't know that.
And you learn the old classic sketches, and you learn a bunch of different ones. And then as you go along, you change your running order depending on where you are or whatever. And so you get this library of Second City sketches that you learn. And so, and I didn't do theater. So I had it was my only training of like, I got to learn this and now say it on stage and then repeat it the next night as if it's a fresh idea,
Yeah.
So Second City was really the theater training that I got. I never did any play. I never did anything else.
Me neither. It was just stand up. How much money were you how old are you at this point? How much money can you make doing this? Were you just barely able to,
No, I like when I was touring, I was, it was pretty decent. I think I was probably making, I'd say for the whole year, like 17,000 or something like that.
Okay. So after tax would be maybe 9,000. No, I don't care. Anyway, so you're making a modest but efficient living. Yeah.
But I was also doing commercials in Chicago. So it was another like lucrative thing. And I was modeling. I did some modeling work when I was in Chicago.
I am not surprised.
What?
You had the looks. You got the looks. The ladies' man is the ladies' man. You're living your best life at this moment. You're young. You're touring. You're making money. You're modeling. I mean, it's very exciting. There's only that one time of your life. The life is very simple then. It's the world of Tim, and you're just man about town.
Everything was dependent on my looks. That was the only problem.
Lauren said it. He's extremely good looking. It might get in the way I don't know.
We have a new good-looking cast member, so write him into those sketches.
Could we put him in a loose suit? He's very, very built. We put him in a loose suit.
He's built.
We don't want to ever show his legs.
He's always taking his shirt off. Please stop it.
When do you get on a call to get on SNL? Do they audition everyone at a Second City and then they pluck?
Well, they came out and saw Mike Myers like a couple years before they saw me. And I knew Mike back then when he was dating, and he was living
Robin.
with Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
that far back.
Yeah. And then
okay.
They kept coming, and so after that, they started coming out to see Farley.
Mm-hmm.
And
how are you?
I was in the cast with Farley. We did 3 reviews together, with that cast. Odenkirk was there.
All the names we keep hearing.
Odenkirk, fuck. So they got you, Odenkirk, and Farley out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
For the show.
So what year did you come on? Was it 90 or with Farley 90, or 80? 90.
February of 91, I believe it was.
And you ended up staying 10 years, according to your Wikipedia.
10 years.
Which was a record at the time.
Fucking A.
Did
you make good money at the end or not really in your head?
I think I made decent money at the time. I think I made decent money. I don't think I was like, but again, just like when I started, I had other things going on when I was leaving SNL. So
yeah,
I had money coming in from other sources.
You work nonstop.
I was also selling crack at the end of my career.
Just to keep
I gave up a lot of good customers at 30 Rock.
You gave up a lot of good customers to do SNL? That's horrible.
Well, so
you got to get back
Sam,
there.
you walked into, which I think kind of one of the most intense times of SNL, because you had the leftovers with Phil Hartman and myself and Mike Myers and so forth.
Jan.
And then you had Sandler and yourself and Rock and Spade and Schneider. So it was intense. So when I came in, it was like four regular cast members or something. So you came into like a big. So it took you time, I'm assuming, to get the necessary time in front of the audience for them to discover you and you to get that level of confidence, right?
Here was the hurdle when I first started on the show. First of all, to both of you guys, you were there. I mean, I was fans. I was a fan. And I was a fan of both of you. Like, I'd seen both of you guys on the show. I'd seen David do stand-up. I was a huge fan and a huge fan of the show. So coming into that cast, man, I swear to God, the first 2 or 3 shows, I was just like, it was like a dream.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening? And I swear to God, I thought they were going to come into the meeting one day and say, that dude over there is not supposed to be here.
Imposter syndrome.
He sold records in Chicago about 3 years ago. He's not supposed to be in here pitching ideas.
You're almost happy just watching. You're like, I can't believe I'm an 8H just this close to watching the show. I guess I'm supposed to be on it. I have no idea how, but it's fun just to be here. I one time went 9 shows without being on anything but maybe one update. And I thought it was unfair. And then my dad goes, who told you it was fair? I go,
that's the first time you've seen him.
That's where I got.
That's the first time you saw him since he left you in Phoenix. Like 20 years later.
To give me a buzzkill.
And then he got in his car and he drove away.
Yeah, life's not fair. Wasn't I supposed to stick around? I go, yeah. And he goes, that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, and guess what? That nickname, Cupcake, Fruitcake, whatever it is, Casper Fruitcake. Get a new moniker, kid.
Yeah. Hey, Lauren, good luck with that, little puss. I bailed.
So, so you get on, and then you're around all these people, and the show is really cooking, and we had just all kinds of stuff happening. Wayne's World was happening, and Toons is the cat, and so how did you find your place? What was your first little inroad of a character or a sketch that you did where you landed it, felt great? Or do you remember the moment where you felt like, I can do this. I'm going to be great on this?
My third show was Alec Baldwin and
great comedian.
I forgot who the musical guest was that year, but I wrote a sketch called Cyrano with me and Alec and Jan. And it was like my surprise. It was the first time I had something. It was only my third show, and Shoemaker or whoever moved it up in the run through for read through. It was like the second or third piece, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Read through is the placement there is very important too. I didn't even know that for a long time.
That's nice.
Yeah.
The first 10 sketches get the most attention.
Well, everyone wilts after 2 hours. You're wilting, so the first hour is very prime. That place.
And also you're basically following usually it'll be a Smigel sketch or like the first couple are like strong. Here's a monologue. Here's this. And so you get a feel for like, the show is going to go like
Opera
this.
Man.
And so they put you up that high. And so Lauren started to read the stage directions. And which was, Tim is dressed as Cyrano and he has a 6-inch wide nose. And then he fucking belly laughed at the stage direction. And then he looked down at Downey.
That is hilarious.
At the end of the table. And Downey was laughing too. And they like looked at each other and sort of like nodded.
Oh,
and,
nice.
He kept reading. And then we did the whole sketch. And the joke of the sketch was that I was Cyrano. I spoke for Alec Baldwin. I gave him love advice while Jan was the woman he was trying to court. But I talked like Barry White and I hid behind a bush.
How did he talk? What did he sound like? What would he say?
I mean, he just talked basically like this. Hey, baby. Yeah, you got to bend over and let me see that love. You got, whatever it was. I don't remember the line.
I love it.
And then Odenkirk gave me a good out, which was because we were doing it like, and it was like, we were doing it. It flowed. It was funny. And then Odenkirk said, you should be sitting in a chair at the end while they're making love, sort of bored and just reading the paper and talking to her very sexually. And so it's them like kissing and you pan out and you just see me going, yeah, baby. Yeah, I love you.
God, the out is so important on those things.
It's a hilarious. Oh, yeah, I was doing Bob
Odenkirk.
Oh, hey.
Odenkirk gave me that the night, Tuesday night when I was writing, because I wrote it by myself.
Oh.
And I also remember this is another fun experience, like interesting experience, was that this happened a couple of times when I got something in past read through where it was like being considered for the show and they would bring, they bring you in and ask you questions. Remember those moments?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they come back. Tim, can you come in? And you go, everyone goes, fuck.
Lauren would like to see you in his office.
It's always someone with a slight Peter Lorre.
Lauren would like to see you and talk to you in his office.
Not they're eating Wally and Joseph's.
I go in there and he asked me who helped me write it. And it had my name and Odenkirk. And I said, he goes, who else? Was there anybody else? And I go, no, I wrote it. I wrote it by myself and Bob gave me the out, And he goes, okay, good, thank you. And then they let me out. And then another time I got a sketch on, I wrote it by myself and he brought me in and he goes like, who helped you write the sketch? I'm like,
Tim, who sent you this?
I wrote it by myself. And then he goes, he was like, do you mind if Tom Davis watches it and works with you on it? I was like,
that's what he was getting at. Like someone to watch it. Probably.
He loves the writer with the comedian,
Well, because the audience should know that you're on stage doing it. And if you wrote it, someone has to be in the booth kind of directing and saying,
right.
Which is hard because it's really your eyes and ears, what you would want.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just trying to, they need someone more experienced.
Yeah.
I think
to watch
that's really what it was too. It was like, I think he just wanted to know, like, if I had talked to anybody about the sketch that I might want to have them come in, help me with it.
Okay.
And if not, then he was going to assign somebody.
Yeah.
And I remember one time Tom Davis was like, he was like, who wants to help him? Lauren's like, oh, who wants to help Timmy with this sketch? And Tom is like, I'll do it.
That burnout. What about one time Lauren brought me in and he goes, David, who helped you read the cue cards? And I go, I read them. That's all.
Dana, the thing.
He goes, I guess he can read, Franken.
Could you do something with Casper Cupcake? Because I don't know if it's going to happen.
Casper, the unlikable cupcake?
The cupcake. I know you're the alabaster assassin, and it's a wonderful thing, but could you please... Marcy!
By the way, I have to give Timmy, it's hard to write a sketch, and maybe because you were in Second City, you're better at it, but it took me... I wrote a sketch for Lovitz called The Pufferfish, where he was a scientist, but he got mad. He turned into a pufferfish. He'd pop out,
That's perfect for John.
And he goes, yeah, write it, because I was like, it was like my first 4 shows before we went to summer. I got picked up for 4 and then it was over just to see if I had any game, which we found out I did not. And so I go, John, he goes, that's a great idea. And I go, it is? It wasn't that good. He goes, right. He gave me no help because I probably had 7 sets. It was probably 28 pages. And read through it. I think Shoemaker went, is this your piece of shit? I go, yeah. And he goes, can we chop it down to about 20? I mean, I didn't know. I'm like, jeez. And he goes, I think there's too many sets. I'm like, well, if anyone would tell me anything, all I'm used to is writing stand-up. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And they go, well, there's too much to fix here, but good luck with it.
It's a hopeless cause, but we appreciate that you put pen to paper.
And Dennis goes, Spud, if Spudley, if you and Schneider don't get anything on in these 4 shows, I think it's curtains.
Okay, sakes. I mean, they'll send you back on a Greyhound out of here, okay? You're not even going to be flying southwest.
Can you write me some update jokes? I mean, get off your ass. You got nothing in the show. Maybe slip them under my door if you don't want to talk to me. I go, all right.
One time I told Dennis I had turned down this commercial for a lot of money. Christ's sakes, Carvey, this business will eat you up and spit you out. Nobody cares, okay? It's all about securing rectangular greenbacks. He was right, and I regretted not doing that commercial.
You'd get the new writers. Write me some update jokes before you get too in the mix here.
I remember my first week on this show, too, watching Dennis Miller in the rewrite room on a Thursday night, come into the room,
so
and
funny,
fucking tear everybody fucking ass new fucking hole.
Yeah,
he went
that's
around
hilarious.
The room and said an insult to every fucking writer and actor that was in the room. He spared me too because I think he even went, "You're new. I'm not gonna fucking." I'll give you a pass today, kid, or something like that.
I know.
One time,
but you guys, I saw him do that once, and everyone was laughing so hard. Farley almost just fell down. They're not buying the fat guy thing, okay, Chrissy?
Fat guy falls down. Anything else?
Rock, you're no Eddie. Did he say to Chris Rock, "You're no Eddie"? I mean, it's like
he goes. I think he goes. Rock, you're the angry black guy. Meadows, you're not even angry. You're just a black guy. You're the nice one. Where's that going to get you? Then he goes, Spade, nothing. He looks around. Schneider, copy machine. Now it's over. You're flatlining.
They're not buying the dooba guy.
They're not buying this guy.
Christ's sakes, tell some jokes. What are you doing up there? All right, you're embarrassing your family. Okay,
we all
embarrassing your
taken
family.
Down. Like...
You're embarrassing your entire neighborhood. Okay.
And then he would walk out of the room, man.
Yeah, because he didn't have to be at the meeting.
Then he'd have a mouthwash spray, and he'd be like in a suit. The cat and I are going to go catch the King and I downtown at the Orpheum. And his hair was all we're all sweaty and greased up. We got staples in our head. We got stay till midnight, do the read through.
We're going to hit Orso with Al Baldwin.
Yeah, Christ's sakes. The risotto, Carvey, to die for.
Oh, wait, I had a question for fucking Timmy.
Well, I want to get to a lot of things.
Okay, like, if you, on the new SNL, you were there longer than me, but obviously it's evolving, but you played someone like Erica Badu had said in the old days. Now, would you, present day, be able to play a female?
Ooh, that's a good question, man.
They definitely do women playing men. They do women playing men all the time now.
Yeah.
I think
if it was I don't think I would do it if it's an impression. I think if it was a character, like me just being a woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the coffee talk lady.
I don't even know what it's like. I don't even know what it's like now. You know what I mean? Like what do people?
I don't know the rules. Yeah,
it's just like I just started back doing stand up like a few weeks ago, man, and I'm telling you, it's been fun, but it's just been like, what the fuck, like. I'm guessing myself before I say things.
Yeah, it's scary. You say the wrong thing, it's over.
Right. Yeah. There's so many big words and little words for everybody, and figures of speech. You don't know if that's gonna be a problem. You know, I mean, even in 2015, when I look back what I was doing, I'm doing Chinese accents. I'm doing all kinds. I've just distilled it. Now I can do Russian. And I could do French, British, but that's about it. You know, I just had the table. You know, I was doing Indian accents. I was doing my cardiologist.
Oh, we know.
That stuff. And I just think I'm killing. You know, I mean, there were no rules, and then it just shifted.
You weren't killing.
So I lost 70% of my act in 45 days.
But have you seen that movies? The only bad guys allowed now are Russians, a made-up Russian country, or aliens. That's why superhero movies do good. Oh, this crazy planet of Asian aliens. No.
Let me tell you. What do you want? What I want to do to you is I want to kill you. See, that is just a general accent, right?
It's
Eastern European. It could be Romania. Yeah. What do you want? I kill you now with the gun, and you are
good luck.
Good luck.
You don't even have to be good at the accent.
No, just something like this.
It's better if you're not, you can't pin it anywhere.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to kill you.
Someday I will kill you, but not now, because I want you to think about me putting bullet in your head. At some point in future, you hear footsteps. You look outside. Maybe you have snow cone. One eye, you're blind. Bullet come from other side. Lights out. But I love you.
It's a real snow cone.
So I want to get to Tim's. This is a
Dana. You kill me, man. Holy.
Well, you're making me funnier today, Tim, because you're such a great audience.
He's a good audience.
Sometimes these podcasts are pretty grim. We've done a few of them. They get pretty grim. I'll tell you that much. So Tim, throughout your years on SNL, he does Coneheads, It's Pat, Wayne's World 2.
Yeah.
So that you're in the movies. You do Benchwarmers, which is one of those fun. In Mean Girls, you were hysterical as the principal. And then, I don't want to jump over anything, but then, of course, you have this, one of the few sketches that becomes a feature film. And what I noticed, your evolution, I left the show, or I maybe had hosted it, I came back, or I watched it, and I saw you on Ladies Man. I don't know which episode it was, but I just saw this like the confidence in the audience loving you. It just went like that, just snapped. I mean, it went to another level. I was like, whoa. So how did that evolve, and when did you go, I'm onto a killer reoccurring character, which is so fun on SNL?
And who brings up a movie?
I did. I mean, I think I got more comfortable naturally as the seasons went on.
Me too, by the way.
Season where David and I and Normie were still there, you know, that year.
Yeah.
I think that was
that year. Like crossover year.
5, 6, something like that, 95. Yeah.
My 6th.
Yeah.
That was the year that I kind of felt like, okay, I already know how to show words. I know how to write. I just got to be more comfortable and have more fun on camera. I mean, I just started to relax, really. And then Ladies Man, that was an easy character for me to do, because I had been doing it for a long time, but I didn't tell people about it. Because I used to do it to make fake phone calls. I used to use it as a voice, you know. And so I told a couple of writers about it, and they came up with the Ladies Man idea, and they would ask me questions and I would just answer you doing that voice about, relationship questions or problems or whatever. And then it just clicked, man. I was like, even when I do it now, if I feel like doing it or if people talk to me or in interviews, like it is like, like with any of the things you do is like, you just know that person, you know how that character talks, you know what it would say.
It's musical. The way it'd say Cavassier, it's very hypnotic and musical.
Yeah.
And so it was operating on a lot of different levels as far as just entertainment and funny.
And so the minute we did it, we knew that people liked it. I mean, it got laughs and then just, we got letters. It was like the only time I really got like, a lot of fan mail.
Go by that mailbox.
Yeah. And so that was
Dana had a lot of
they liked it. And then the whole thing of the movie came up with Lauren. Lauren brought up Assis, me, and Parker. No, I wrote it with Harper Steele, who is and Dennis McNicholas. So they created the character, and then Lauren asked us if we'd be interested in writing a script. First of all, and that was it. He was like, "Do you think you can make this into a movie?" And the three of us were like, "Not really." I mean,
that's funny.
We think that it would be fun, but we were like, we didn't think it was like a big enough hit that we would make it should be a movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just business wise, we were like, well, and then he told us to think it over, and then the three of us talked about it. And we started just coming up with like, well, what if we did this? We haven't told a backstory. We haven't told what his life is like or what his work life is like or put him on an adventure or anything like that. And then we said, okay, we'll try it. And then we wrote a script. We had a read through. They liked it. And then they were like, we'll give you the minimum amount of money to make it. And then
was it Paramount?
It was Paramount, yeah.
Yeah, be Lauren's deal, yeah.
Lauren had a deal at Paramount.
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, that was how it was. And it was really a great experience. I don't regret that movie at all. Like people still, to this day, know the character, they know the movie, like when I'm traveling or whatever. And people like it. I mean, nobody ever is like,
angry.
I think that character was disgusting or whatever,
And it just travels, it just travels throughout
you know what the thing is?
Yeah,
Dana, like I was saying to you about the Biden impression is that it's something that people can do. Like you gave them a hook.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Ladies Man is the same way. Like people know it and it gives them a hook into a way to talk or to do the character or
That's
whatever.
like the funnest thing to get on SNL. If you get one of those.
Rhythmic catchphrase. This made me laugh, Timmy, and I don't know where this came from, but it was on the Wikipedia page about Leon Phelps, the ladies' man. And it said, describing the character, he believed he was the living definition of what women search for in a man. And that's the classic cocky idiot. Like he was so fucking confident that no woman could ever resist him. And the confidence he had is always really fun to watch, just a crazy confident character who is kind of clueless in a way about his own. So the character, I can see that being kind of have a following as people see it over time.
Yeah. That attitude is a lot. I would like say I like stole from, or like I think of Bill Murray and doing Caddyshack, like that attitude of like, he's superior to everybody in the movie.
Yes.
He's the smartest guy in the movie.
Yeah.
And so when you trust his riffing, it's going to get you somewhere. And I feel I kind of have that attitude when I'm doing Leon Phelps. Like he's the smartest dude in the room, can't make any mistakes. He doesn't know if he's offending you. Doesn't care if he's offending you.
That's why, it's so much fun to play a character like that, because it's hard to go through life actually like that,
Yes.
But one thing that I don't know, this sort of dovetails, but I remember we were doing a benefit for Robert Smigel, for autism, and kind of sharing a dressing room. And we just got to start talking about stand-up as a baseline for a career. Like, and I always tell everyone, I told Lovitz, anybody who's a Second City improv player who's funny, who wants to put together an act, they have all the tools to do it. Because they already, if you could score an SNL, you could do it. So I don't know if you began, but then you develop yourself as a stand-up comic, and you've been doing it pretty consistently here and there. And we did that crazy show in Laughlin, Nevada.
Oh man!
Just as far as the circumstance, there's that's a movie in itself. But it's David. It's 5 PM or something in an empty stadium with high winds and bright sun in your face.
Outside. It sucks always, and daytime is a killer.
Yeah. It may have been dust, but
the laughs just goes straight up in the air.
Yeah.
And when there's bright out, you don't even look you look anywhere but the stage. And I hate seeing the people because as many laughs as you get, you always connect eyes with someone going.
Yeah.
And you're like, are you even listening to what? And you think you're killing, and you always find someone that goes, oh no, you're not.
Well, for me, in my head, Tim is over in the wings. And I'm up there, I'm going, I am so awkward. I'm so bad right now. I don't even care. This is the worst set I've ever done. And I look over and I see Tim. And it kept thinking, what does he think? I don't want to bomb in front of this SNL guy.
I know, horrible.
Knows how to do this.
Feeling.
But it was just one of those nights you just get the check and we walked away.
Yeah, you gave me a ride back to the city too.
Yep.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to spend that much time together where it's like we had a couple hours to just talk and stuff and chill, So that was the highlight of that for me.
Oh, totally. I was so thrilled that you took the ride with me because I love comedians. I love talking to them. And part of the reason we're doing this is because too many years go by because we're all just busy, just doing shit. And you never hang out. Even if you went to a dinner at a restaurant, they're playing loud music. It's still, you just want to, like, I know a lot more about you right now than I did. And I knew a lot, man. I knew a lot. Marcy Klein, we'd love to have her as a guest. So you've just gone on, your resume is huge. You work, you're doing stuff. I always see your name popping up. You're doing this series, you're doing this, you're doing that. So how are you feeling now? Coming back to stand up now?
I'm just coming back to doing it now. I've done a couple gigs, some with Lovitz. We got it in Catan and Finesse Mitchell.
Yeah.
We did a tour a few years ago with Spade and Rob and Sandler took us out, which was really fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Highlight.
Playing for that crowd.
Highlight was understatement.
I also was, and it was fun to see everybody's so good. And I was the least experienced of everybody on that tour.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fun for me to I came out first, after Schneider, introduced the gig, emceeing it. And so it was, I'd come out and I had a lot of goodwill from the audience, so I felt comfortable and stuff. And then
they were excited to see us all together.
Yeah, man, it was just so much fun to watch everybody and, rest in peace, Norm. I enjoyed watching him.
Love Norm.
Just do his shit every night. He always did something different.
He was one of a kind. I mean, so brilliant.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It does seem that it comes down to, at least for me, it took me, I'd say 80 to 100 shows to get where you were talking about relaxed, having fun in a situation that you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And live performance and stand up too. It's so much just internally enjoying it and being relaxed and not needy, and also just clarity. I've been doing some open mics with my kids and stuff, and most open micers, the audience just misses it. What are you trying to say? So just the clarity of the setup, and then actually they can see you're enjoying yourself. But the main thing is, try not to try is very difficult. But once you get confident doing it, then it becomes electrifyingly fun when you're kind of I got this, folks.
I know this is an SNL thing, but let me ask you guys this, and you can cut it out if you want. But how do you get into, like, I know writing new material, like, do you take ideas that you have and then just expand on them on stage? Or do you like completely think out the idea before you get on stage and do it?
David, I'll let you take that one.
I do. I think what I want to say, and I hope I have enough of a germ and maybe an out, but it's always undercooked. And then I do it, and then I trim out the fat. Sometimes I'll tape it. We type it out, and then I'll look at it and go, I don't need that. And then it gets a little tighter. And once it actually gets into my act on a consistent basis, I try to riff on it. But I sort of have to get it to memorize the way it works. Yeah. And then I can screw around with it. But finding it is tough. And you almost have to tape, because you say one thing you like, and the rest of my act, I'm trying to remember that one line to remember. And if I don't tape it or anything, and I hate listening to myself, so it's a real horrible.
Yeah, the only thing I could add to that is what I told Lovitz is just don't be in a hurry to get through a bit. Like, say you have a bit now that works, whatever the topic, there's always more. And just stay there. You know, I always try to remind myself sometimes, don't be in a hurry. Just stay there. And the other thing I like to do is find a 20-seater. I don't know what the number is, but I'd say 20-seater. And then just bring up your yellow pad with just ideas you've had and tell the audience you're doing that. I call it podcast stand-up. Yeah. Here's an idea I had. I don't even know if this is funny. And then they're on your side. That seems to be a really good way to develop material. Once you're out there in front of a packed house and everything, it's way too late.
Something will work.
But a 20-seater where you just got the yellow pad, they know you're just fucking around. Right. You know, I think of lines all the time. And then George Carlin always said, write everything down. Because writing happens when you're going to a movie or you're hanging out or you're having
it's not when you're trying to write.
Just write every single tiny thing down. That would be the method I use. I'm sure you use variations of what David and I just said.
Yeah,
right?
I do that too. I'll write notes down and then I go back and look at it and think about, well, what was the original thought that made me laugh that I wrote this down? Yeah. And the thing I've been doing now, like I'm in Chicago, so I'm going to try to do some open mics tonight. I'm going to do Zanies tomorrow. What I've been trying to do is like, Colin gave me this advice, which is couching the new shit between two bits that I already know works. Yeah. And then, like you were saying, Dana, like give yourself time in that bit. Like, okay, here's the new thing I'm working on. It's probably going to die. I don't know what it is, but even if it fails and I got this other thing that'll get you back.
You could look at Chappelle, even Chappelle 5 years ago or whatever. He was never in a hurry, you know, to get through things. And when you're young and kind of scared, you just want to roll right through it. As I've gotten older, more confident, I go, I'm just going to sit with this idea now. And not when I call it the second voice that's giving you a real-time report card. When that just shut that up and it's all tied into the same thing, having fun and confidence. I'd say confidence and where it comes from, how it happens is somewhat mysterious. But when you have it, the idea is, I'm Tim Meadows, get the fuck out of my way. It goes back to the Detroit guy. I'm coming on stage for you motherfuckers. And guess what? I'm the shit. I'm fucking funny and I'm really smart. I may be kind of too handsome for a stand-up. Don't let that get in your way, you bitches. But that's the thing tonight when you go, I'm Tim Meadows, man.
Yeah. No, Dana, you're the best, man. Thanks, David. Thank you.
Timmy, it's great talking to you. I miss you. I will see you soon. And thanks for blabbing with us. Hey, what's up, flies? What's up, fleas? What's up, people that listen? We want to hear from you and your dumb questions.
Questions, ask us anything. Anything you want.
You can email us at flyonthewall@cadence13.com. This is Hello, David and Dana. My name is Rob, and I'm from Belgium.
Belgium. Nice.
We are blowing up in Belgium, Dana.
Love your waffles, okay?
I can't step foot in Bulgaria. We're too big. Okay. Big fan of the podcast. Question is, both of you, what do you consider to be the other's most under and overrated impression? That's from Robin Ritson.
I'd say your most underrated is Michael J. Fox from Casualties of War.
Oh, yeah.
That's your most underrated.
Yeah, I'm not a big impression guy, and so this question is probably more for you, but Michael J. Fox I had a lot of pride in, and I think it helped me get on SNL. I tricked them into thinking I was like Rich Little because I had one impression. I also did Tom Petty, but on the show you get a lot of you get assigned. You're Dave Pirner from Soul Asylum. I did Kurt Cobain, did Brad Pitt. There's a bunch of those where you get assigned every week, so they're not that great, but they're just more looks, you know. And then Dana would get really into them. So if I said Dana's, I would say I like pretty much all his. I don't think any of them are really overrated. I do like when you do a Ross Perot or a George Bush where it's something I don't even know if they really said. Maybe they said it once and you run with it. Like there's a Ross Perot where you go, let me tell it to you one time. What does he say? Something like that.
Can I finish one time?
That's like a James Brown influence.
That's right.
Can I finish one time?
So maybe, you know, when I was just doing a walk-in impression for Dana a little bit ago, I said, I talk about a mouse and I go, he's smart, the smart, you know? So if you can find one little tiny thing that sounds like him, that's fun. But Dana's are all underrated and they're all good. And he finds these little one-lines and little hooks. So that's the hard part. Even if Trump or any of these guys didn't say that or not going to do it, kind of got crazy with George Bush, it's such a great hook and it sounds like the person that the actual person almost needs to say those things now to sound like them because it's so famous. It's more famous than the actual person.
Yeah. And there's two ways to look at an impression, like abject accuracy, like, oh my God, it's like a tape recorder. That's perfect. And then there's something that's more of an abstraction and funny and takes liberties. And so maybe I just get bored, but I do like to extend them and make them into one sound. Like Trump.
Well, that's why it works. Yeah. But that's why it works, especially on SNL, because crowds are waiting for something. And if you do just a perfect impression, it doesn't always pay off. I think it's always nice when a host comes in and they have something secret in their grab bag and they can do an impression. So you write a whole sketch around it. When they get to theirs, it's always shocking they can do one. Yeah. And it gets a big applause.
It still is it's almost like magic to me, though, when someone like Frank Caliendo can sound exactly like Morgan Freeman, like eerily. So I love impressions of all stripes. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13.
Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes.
Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Serena Regan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.